Good evening and welcome to The Real Study with your hosts, MrSniDBitS,
I don't have a problem with him, but I don't think he's that and a bag of chips.
BlackGirlMarvel,
I cried laughing. That was hilarious.
Tylermakesfilms,
That was like our favorite movie for some reason. I mean, it was really good. I enjoyed that movie.
Allthemoviethings,
I think the thing why I enjoyed it more too was the fact that we were going to talk about it from this perspective.
The Pre-Review with BlindBiggie,
Hey, this is BlindBiggie. Welcome to the pre-review.
and me, the Real Study movie voice guy.
I'm the Real Study movie voice guy.
Let's go to the poster wall.
Good evening and welcome to The Real Study. My name is MrSniDBitS, and with me, as always, to my left is BlackGirlMarvel. We also have with us tonight Tylermakesfilms and all the movie things, a full crew. And we have a special guest tonight. Call me by this name, Maria, also going by many other names on all social media platforms. We will be covering a bunch of movies about relationships tonight. That includes Marriage Story with Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, Malcolm and Marie, that stars Zendaya. I'm going to say her name all wrong. And then David,
John David Washington.
John David Washington, thank you. Who he likes, John David, by the way. And then, of course, Don't Worry, Darling, directed by Olivia Wilde, starring Henry Styles, as well as Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh.
And we're going to take them in exactly that order. Before we do that, we're going to move over to the main screen, and we're going to say hello to everyone. How's your week been, guys? Another week like that?
good.
Okay. I got you. So it's been a week. Okay, well, we're here to relax and talk about movies. So let's unwind and talk about toxic relationships. Before we get to that, our guest, Maria, is a TikToker and other social media platforms in general, and content creator. Tell us about your TikToks and what drew you to making content.
Oh man, I was depressed. Just kidding, but I wasn't. I mean, I've always loved television and movies for like so long, and I've always like overanalyzed it and wanted to talk about it with my friends and family for so much, and they just didn't want to hear it. So I went to TikTok, and now here I am, and I met some amazing people. So you can find me and call me by the same Maria on TikTok, on Twitter sometimes. I'm not as like, I sometimes tweet. Tyler knows. I like sometimes tweet on there. And then I have an Instagram account that I barely post on. I think I posted on there for She-Hulk. But I do fandoms mostly, and I do all the fandoms: Star Wars, MCU, DC, Game of Thrones. I love television, so that's mostly my content. And I'm dabbling in film. But I was telling MrSniDBitS this, like, you guys are probably one of the first podcasts that I was like watching, and I was like, one day I'm going to be on here and talking to you about films with these guys. So I'm really excited to be here today.
Don't make me cry.
I was telling her before the show because she said that, and I was like, "What? Me, lonely, well, not lonely them. They're awesome. That's why they're on this show." But
All of you are
my
awesome,
God.
equally awesome.
I mean,
Gosh, you're amazing, Snitty. Jeez, how many times do we have to tell you?
Oh, there's
Yeah, don't even worry, darling.
Oh no.
It begins
I see what
already,
you did
right?
there.
So
It
just in
begins.
case you guys didn't know, today's Tyler's last time on the show.
Which is every week, it seems,
It seems, yes. It seems.
Well, it's either that or it's Snooty's last time on the show.
right?
Yeah.
Not today. I did good.
It
I
was a
haven't done bad.
Yet.
Yeah,
See?
exactly.
Perfection.
That said, why don't we jump right into what I think is the most depressing of the three films, Marriage Story, and talk about what is the most, kind of grounded film of the three. It's just watching two people that love each other I guess the other films kind of do it a little bit. This one definitely, it's two people that go after each other, even though you can tell they love each other. So
Yeah, this one, yeah.
why don't we start with Maria, and what did you think of Marriage Story?
I mean, yeah, compared to the other ones, I feel like this one was the most realistic. Not trying to say that like the other ones weren't, because they also depicted a very serious and real relationship, but this is just like the everyday relationship. Like many couples could find themselves in this situation. It's sad, and because it's so real. And like I remember like looking up, like, is this a story? Who wrote this? And like I think the director was a child of divorce, and it's just a unique concept. It was done very well, but it's also just one of those like movies that just like humble you because of like how real it can be. I will say now that like TikTok has memeified everything that Adam Driver has said, it's really funny watching it now because it's like every day I wake up now has new meaning to it. Because I remember when I first watched it, I was just like, wow. And now I'm just like, when I rewatched, I was like giggling to myself because I'm just like, that's a meme. But everyone did great acting. I love Laura Dern in this. Like she just kills it with this role. And this is a really good movie. It's very serious and very sad, but it's like a very, very well done movie and a very original concept now.
All right. I like it. How about you, La?
I didn't have a problem with Marriage Story. I enjoyed the performances between Scarlett and Adam. They were like, it's like they lived these roles, like they were like lived in, it was like, it wasn't like they were acting. It's like they were like, it was like a camera was just like filming while they were just being a couple. Like that's how realistic it felt to me. I wrote something on my letterbox about it too, because I'm like, because I watched everything today. Actually, I had no choice but to watch everything today. So I don't know. I just like the way that it depicted a relationship that like kind of comes to its end, and then like the people. It's like a really realistic take on how nobody knows what to do in this situation, so they're just clinging to whatever they can do. You know what I mean? So you get outside counsel and you're like, this doesn't feel right, but I guess I'll do it because, like whatever, I guess I'll do it. And then there's moments of like truth that pops in, like when she's like, you're fighting for something that you don't even want. But that's like a low blow because that's saying that he doesn't want his kid. But it's like, you're asking me to choose between like the career that I love and the child that I love. And that's like unfair. It's unrealistic and it's unfair to do that because I love them both. And I'm trying to keep them both, And I don't know, it was a really good film. It's hard to find films where it feels real. Because we all know films ain't, So it's just like, it's hard to get that on film. It's hard to get that to pass on film. And I'm pretty sure that's what every filmmaker wants, is for people to be like, oh, they're back in ye olden times, I believe it. Like they want people to like feel that. But this film, like, is somehow like grounded. It has like levity to it. There's moments of like funny, like when the evaluator comes in, that actress is so dry.
Oh man,
I love her so much.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you her name, but I've seen her in so many things.
Yeah,
she's amazing in whatever she touches. And so when I saw her at the door, and the moment no reaction, and the moment she's like, "Oh, I think I was at the wrong door," I'm just like, "She's great." Yeah. I'm like, give her an award, give her anything she wants because she's amazing. And then it's just like, it's like I don't know. This film was like really, really great. It was just really great. I've never been in a relationship like this to understand like marriage and a child and all that type of stuff. But it was me watching it. I was like, well, dang. Okay, this is heavy. And that's the feeling I got from it, but I still enjoyed it. So yeah.
All right. Tyler, what about you?
Out of the 3 that we had to watch, this was like my favorite. This is my second time watching it. I think the first time I watched it, I didn't really care for it. I don't think I was like paying attention as much or like wasn't into it for some reason. But the second time I was like, yeah. So like for me as because I'm a kid of divorce too, when I was like 4 years old. So like I thought, like La was saying, like I love that how realistic it feels. Like as a 4-year-old, I can't comprehend half of that stuff that's happening. So it was cool to see this other aspect of like how damaging a divorce can be, like financially, to everybody around you. They also like tackled, because I feel like sometimes these stories tend to like, they'll only focus mainly on like what the couple is doing like to each other, but like we got to see the kids' perspective, and then we got to see the lawyers and like what they're dealing with and how they interact with one another. So it was just like, it felt like a really full story, if that makes sense. Scarlett Johansson, I'm gonna say this. I think this is her best performance. Like out of everything I've seen, I think this is the one that, like
ever.
Yeah, just exactly.
Yeah.
100%.
Like ever. Like show me her filmography. I've seen a lot of her movies. This is her best. Yeah. This is what showcases her as an actual actor in my book.
I don't know, guys. Have you seen The Island?
Oh my God.
Come on, Ewan, right? No,
I was going to say that for
Yeah.
Adam Drivers, but I would say that for Scarlett show too.
Mhm.
Adam
were-
Driver really kills it with this.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah.
He does.
Oh, yeah.
So Brian, what
Mhm.
did you think of
Good Soup does
Marriage
not
Story?
compare to this.
Good Soup?
Yeah. Yeah, I love this movie. This is the second time I've seen it, and like Tyler says, it's the favorite of the three for me as well. It just like rips my heart out. That last scene when he's reading her letter, every time, like it just kills me.
Mhm.
And he's
Mhm.
so good in that too. Just like,
His face, like
oh my god,
Mhm.
yeah. And
I was like wiping up tears because I was like rewatching it before I came here, and
Man.
I was like, just to make up, gonna rewrite. Like, it was
yeah,
It was just
a lot.
beautiful.
yeah,
It's like
and like
when,
yeah,
when he
she kinda-
mumbled off the,
Yeah.
the other parts of that he didn't say
Yeah,
to his
yeah.
son, and I was just like,
Yeah.
it's like that's genius, right? Because you
Yeah,
do blank
that's-
out stuff for kids like that. I love that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's like so aware that like, but he's still in it. And
Mhm.
yeah, it's I had mentioned this on like TikTok to like just in a comment. I think me and Lau were going back and forth. Just like how lived in it feels like it's lived
Mhm.
in. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
and like I've gone through a divorce. Definitely was not anything anywhere near this. Like I got off pretty lucky. We both,
Mhm.
didn't have kids,
Mhm.
didn't do any lawyers or anything like that. And but there's and something that I was thinking about all of these films was like, I think one of the things I love about one of the millions of things I love about movies is that it's it's pretty good when you can recognize yourself in something.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and all of these I kind of recognize myself a little bit. But like this one too, I just like it's hard because you're trying to like you don't want to you're trying to like empathize with both sides with everyone, and it's just that's what makes it so tough, because it's really gut wrenching, and they don't want to do it, you know what I mean? And there's two very pivotal scenes for me that I always like really like that are heartbreaking. Obviously, the one where they're just like going at it
Mhm.
at each other in his place.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a great scene.
Jesus, yeah, and then the courtroom scene,
Mm.
which is actually
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah.
they're not even really saying a word, really. You know what I mean? It's really just like,
Mhm.
and the
But
camera
the
works really great.
tension.
Yeah,
But their
Mhm.
expressions and everything they're
Yeah.
feeling.
well, and like
is-
camera
Mhm.
too is very important in that scene because it's like we like they focus on, and really the edit as well, but
Yeah.
there's like back and forth, and it's really just like all in the camera, and they really don't. And the lawyers are really the ones that are kind of going at it. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
really not, and they're kind of speaking for them. And it's like, oh god, would they really, and like it hurts them to hear those things.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Being said because they were like, oh, I
Yeah.
didn't really.
But unfortunately,
I
they
really-
gave that ammo. That's the problem.
Yeah,
is that
no, that's
they-
the
No,
thing,
for
yeah.
sure, for
I
sure.
think part of it too is like the lawyers are pulling that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
pulling that out of
Yeah.
them when they don't really want it.
And-
But anyway,
and
but yeah,
going-
no, I
and-
love this movie.
And then going off that, like the other lawyer scene where they like do the break where they order lunch and like how
Mhm.
casual and
Mhm.
passe they are about everything, and like you just see it in their
Yeah.
faces. Like Adam Driver trying to like order something, and
Yeah.
you're just like, really?
It's like I
It
don't.
is-
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like thinking like I don't have an appetite. I don't want it.
Mhm.
You know.
No, I don't
Exactly.
wanna
I was
eat
expecting you to
anything.
say that. Yeah.
It's kind of similar to the scene with Adam Driver and his first lawyer when they're in the room and they're talking and he's trying to tell them a joke and he's like, "Am I paying for this joke? Like, like-
come on.
like what are we doing right now? Like,
Yeah.
this is not helping me." I was like,
Man.
"Oof."
I think that
Okay.
Adam's, or I guess, what is this character's name? Charlie's naivety about the whole situation is
Yeah.
what kind of drew me through the whole film. I kept going, do you really think that she's not going to try this, or the lawyers aren't going to push her to try it at bare minimum?
I'm so glad
The
you
whole
brought that up.
time,
'Cause-
like
so,
he kept going, but she said, and then when they finally have a discussion,
Yeah.
we see he admits that they never actually said it. He just
No,
wished
it's
it.
what he heard.
right.
It's what he heard. You
Right.
know, it's what he wanted to be.
Mhm.
the second time I watched it, I was watching with my parents today, and like the way my parents were polarized with this, like my dad just took
Yeah.
Charlie's side, and my mom took
Oh,
her
yeah.
side, and my
Yeah.
dad's like, he's so naive, he doesn't know what's going on.
Mhm.
I'm just like, yeah, like I see it now more than I saw the first time,
Mm.
but yeah, like basically what Mr. Sid was saying.
Mhm.
Snitty, what did you think of Marriage Story?
So I wasn't sure if I wanted to watch this movie because I also have been through a divorce, but I'm now in a very good and healthy relationship. Or we all like
Shout
to
out to
think,
Betsy.
But it's still, you know, it brings up things and it makes you wonder. And, you know, watching it, I went, oh, okay, this isn't anything like my relationship. So I'm not, you know, that part of it kind of dissipated pretty quickly. But then I got to see my parents a little bit between these two people and the way they kept talking. So I kept seeing myself, because I am also a child of divorce and been through divorce. I've seen it from both angles. But I got to watch what the kid went through. And I remember going through almost exactly what he went through. And it was ridiculous how much they tried to keep him out of it. But I think in a way they hurt him by keeping him so far out of it, because he was making, from my perspective, I was adding in details as a kid. Going, well, they're not telling me what they are, so I'm just going to add these details in.
For sure.
I did love the relationship between Charlie and his son, ultimately, though, where he was pushing him to become a better reader and like math and all these things, but he rejected it.
Yeah.
But then eventually the kid found it on his own, just like Charlie said he would. And I really appreciated that as well. And that was something you mentioned already with the reading through her letter about his traits. And I have to say that intro of hearing them read about each other and how we circled back to that at the end.
I
really loved
part,
that. Like that really stuck out to me as something. It's just phenomenal storytelling. Because
it's because it's almost like a bait and switch,
right?
In a way, because you think, oh, it's about these two people that really love each other, and then it's like, and then they're in this mediation room, and you're like, oh. Yeah.
But I wanted to slap that mediator
love
too.
has been
so
lost.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't have wanted to work with him either. But no,
but I feel like everybody that wasn't like the Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson characters were jaded themselves. Like I feel like all of them have been through some type of my God. Like I feel like all of them have been through some type of like heartbreak or divorce or something like that. And so I felt like there was a lot of projection. Because for the most part, they know each other very well. Even if you like still have love for the person, but you're not in love with them, you don't want to like be with them like that anymore. They still know each other. They know each other very well. So like when they were in like mediation with their separate lawyers, and they're like, well, no, she would never do this. Like she would never take this money from me because she knows that it goes to the theater, goes to these people. That was true because that's not something she wanted to do. Like she wouldn't have like put that up. So you know, she questioned it, you know, and so like I love like those moments of like you could still tell that they loved each other. You could still but it's just like they just didn't fit. Their pieces didn't fit anymore. And it was like, so what can we do to better support the kid? And we could all like kind of like be amicable, because like I'm not a child of divorce, but I'm a child of separation, and my parents were together for like 14 years, but like 10 for me, 12 for my brother, because you know we're 2 years apart. But like that's all I had known. So like I was like zoned in on the kid. If I would do anything else in this film is really good, I would just add more with the kid. I would want more with the kid because like I was kind of him, but I knew what was going on even at like 6, 7, you know. But I was just like, I was very aware as a child, so I was like, nah, I'm just gonna play toys because this isn't for me. And I felt like that's how how this kid was. He was like, my mom plays. I just want to be with my mom because we play. We have a good time. And my dad is very like, you know, by the book and learning and whoop-de-whoop. And for me, it was the opposite. Always trying to make me learn something. Always trying to make me do something.
So yeah, I actually noticed
immediately.
That even with the friends in LA. So the friends of ScarJo that show up to hang out with the kid, with Charlie's kid or with their kid.
The cousins.
The cousins. The dad of the cousins just gives Charlie the answers, right? Really quickly. And Charlie goes, oh, I like this guy. He just gives me the answers. I don't have to fight to get this out of him.
This goes back to what like ScarJo said in the beginning, which is like Charlie is a good dad, which is like, unfortunately, good parenting does come with like teaching and learning. So like the whole, like, that's why the whole circle of him, like finally learning to love math and reading at the end kind of comes to play. Like I kind of felt like it was my dad, like, I had to go through these hard lessons just to learn them, even though I wish I had an easier dad, but I have a very hard dad. And it was like, he was a good parent though, because I learned a lot. And it's like,
right. I mean, you wouldn't be who you are without that. Like if you didn't have that, like who would you be? You wouldn't be the Maria that we know now. So
yeah. And I love that Scarlett Johansson like recognized that. What I really like, what I loved about this is like in their marriage story, they still recognize what I loved about all of them, except for maybe Don't Worry Darling, is that like they recognize the good in each other, but they can understand that they don't get along. And like, I think that's the biggest thing about relationships. It's like, relationships are hard. They can bring out a very ugly side of everyone. At the same time, it's not that people are bad. It's just that sometimes people don't work. And I think that like Marriage Story shows that like, these are two great people that really care about their kid. They just don't work anymore. Right. And they show that, and they still respect each other like divorce gets
it,
ugly.
it eventually got there. Like it got there
Yeah.
because I love like to me the ending. It's not the best part of the movie, but it was still like pretty up there for me. I just like the ending of like it's blended kind of like now. You can still say that there's a little trepidation, there's a little because that's gonna be there. That's very realistic. But it's one of those things where it's like now we're at a place where it's like, hey, he's tired and we're still gonna do things. He's gonna take him home and come get him in the morning or whatever. Like, but before then, when we saw that exact same scene, he's like, no, but it's my night. Like he was mad, like it's my night. This is what we chose. And now it kind of got to the end and it softened out. And he was like, are you sure it's your night? She's like, yeah, it's fine. Like we'll work it out.
Like
and now
a year
they're in a place
passes too, right? Like a year.
No, because it was another Halloween. So yeah. But I love that. I love that they didn't put it on the screen like 1 year later. Like they just like
there's no need to always
there's no need. They just like if you pay attention, you can see that it's Halloween again.
They gave us credit. They gave us credit to us and audience paid attention.
They give you context clues. Like she was with another guy
and everything. Yeah.
So we didn't
talk
about.
To your point, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was going to say we didn't talk about the knife scene yet, and that one
that's my favorite. It
stood out to me as like
that scene
like kills me.
I did not expect that scene in this movie
so
like,
hard.
at all.
I've never seen this movie before, but that scene cracked me up. So I'll probably laugh maybe too much.
He's trying to make sure the kid doesn't.
It's so emotional, and then
he rolls over on the floor. I thought he was gonna die. Honestly,
I'm just tired.
The moment
when he passes out, like
the moment he passed out a little bit, I was like, that's realistic. I was like, that's because he cut himself deep and
I love how he band-aided
that part
it.
is hilarious.
Let me put a band-aid on it.
How do you bring the band-aid out? I'm like,
put pressure, right? Was that what was going on? Like,
well, he got so panicked. He's like kicking the paper towels.
Like, do something.
He couldn't get out the door. He was just bleeding to death. I was like, this film is funny.
That actress, she was like, oh,
yeah,
ooh.
she was. I know.
She was like,
you don't want to get dripped on her. Like,
you just see the blood on the door, and he's just like. Oh my!
Yes,
it was that was a crazy scene.
Especially after such a high intense scene because they're like building up to this, and then there's like, oh, he just cuts himself.
Yeah,
timing.
But part of me was like, why would you even bring up that conversation with this lady here? Like, leave that to yourself.
Right.
Keep that between
Henry
you and
was
her.
not prepared. Henry was not prepared.
She wasn't gonna ask either. She was just ready to be done with the night.
He volunteered. He volunteered that information and. My gosh,
he doesn't know how to let go. That's why. That's like him throughout the entire movie.
Very true. Very true. I will say both of them are very honest to a fault. To see, especially when they're talking to their lawyers or anything like that, they're very honest, and it's like answer the questions that are given to you. Stop giving extra stuff.
Well, I think that's
you don't need
because they've never been through this before. So they don't know.
I feel like
neither of them know how to navigate this whole situation.
No, but I mean, for me personally, I don't give everybody everything. You ask me a question, I'm gonna answer the question, and I'm not gonna give extra tidbits or snidbits, if you will, about some stuff. But I get it. That's part of their character that they've never been through.
I mean, they're talking to lawyers.
They're just let's be honest and let's be open. But part of me still was just it's just I have an inherent mistrust of everybody, so I'm just you just get a little bit until I get to know what this is.
I think it speaks to how awkward divorce is because it's here you have this really personal thing with someone. It's a relationship. You have a kid with them, and now it's something legal. And he even said, I think Adam says I feel like a criminal. It's because literally lawyers pick everything apart, and it's nothing to do with the marriage and divorce, but it has to do with the fact that that's how lawyers work. So here you have this built-up trust. You're I remember Laura Jones said something about the word they used about a deal versus discussed, and it's really we're just talking about random things that we talked about. It's something a deal. It's semantics, exactly. And it's just I really love the authenticity of this movie because it's even how everyone else got involved. So I wanted to bring this up that everyone else getting involved in the relationship just reminds me of real life. Her parent, even her mother was just make things work. Then her lawyer projecting onto her. It just reminds me of real relationships whenever you have a fight with your significant other and everyone else just puts in their 2 cents. It's
the theater company.
So real.
Every one of them had something to say about it too, right? And there was the one guy who was no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. He was right pretty much the whole time. I noticed
the scene too where he has to get served the papers, and she's making her sister.
She's got the pie,
and she's it's the most awkward. Wait,
the sister, that actress is amazing.
I love that actress.
She's amazing.
New girl shout out.
She was a new girl. Yep.
Yeah. She's a she's amazing in everything that she does. Like I just kept like whenever a scene was up and she was in it, I just kept watching her. Like I know I'm supposed to watch Scarlett, but I was just so happy to see her in something like this because sometimes a character like that or like an actress like that they relegate to like just of course she's supporting because that's sometimes you get locked in supporting, but like she does such an amazing job with like the material that she's given. I just kept watching her like she gonna be hilarious, and she was like funny the entire time.
Now, have any of you seen Girls before?
No, I still haven't.
First season.
Like in the world? Like
No, the show, the HBO show, Girls.
I've seen the first season of it.
Okay, because that was my first experience with Adam Driver.
Yeah, that's the first time I saw Adam Driver.
And
yeah, same. Good soup.
He embodied some of that
from.
character, but also embodied a whole other level of character. But he brought some quirkiness, but with still being grounded because Adam's character in Girls was ridiculous. Like that guy.
Yeah.
That guy was
Yeah, for
ridiculous.
sure.
But
You weren't waiting for him to bust out a lightsaber?
No. To me, seeing him in that, I was like, oh, that's the guy from Girls. That's weird.
I know, like that whole scene, that whole fight between them, I was just waiting for the Kylo Ren.
Yeah, I was just
Well, she could have busted out her bracelets and really, fought him. And there goes
But
Maria.
I'm happy they were like so far removed from that because I would have been taken so out if I would have just been like, Kylo, is that you, Kylo? Like Black Widow. No, but they were both very removed from it that I loved it so much. They were just very removed.
Well, that's like how great they are though too. It's like, yeah, they've been in these like crazy huge franchise films.
Sorry about that. My Wi-Fi just cut out.
But they're so good that they can.
No, you're all good.
It kind of goes in that conversation that's been going around, about the whole movie star versus
right.
MCU character.
Which I mean, when you see them in other things, I feel like the naysayers of the world, I mean, they should just stop talking at this point because like
I mean,
it's like. But also, does it matter? Does it matter that everybody's on a level playing field now? Do people have to be movie stars? Like, can we just be actors and then you just do what you do? They still get paid bajillions of dollars to do these things. Like, either.
I almost would argue that it's almost. I kind of see it like the reverse. Like, I feel like a lot of MCU films are kind of helping.
I feel like that too.
I
agree.
Chris is up here because of MCU making him a movie star.
Because nobody cared that he died.
Yeah, I was about to
Star Trek. Nobody cared.
Yeah, I mean, they took a risk with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then he was just like getting everything after that, and like he became Robert Downey Jr. Like,
and not even that, like
he was like it's like.
Yeah. Like Jon Favreau had to fight for him. Like they was like, even though it was still a risk when he got it, like it took a minute to get him because Jon Favreau was like, no, this is the guy. Like I'm gonna vouch for him. Then somebody put their name out for you. Like, come on.
And even when he did Tropic Thunder, he was still having to like. Ben Stiller had to talk to Jon Favreau. Hey, is Robert Downey gonna be okay? Like, am I gonna have to worry? It's like, man, like, and he was phenomenal on that. So it's like, I mean, we're going. We're digressing, but
going back to Marriage Story, it's funny because like I took a break because I was rewatching it today, and then on TV, The Last Jedi was on, and Laura Dern and Adam Driver. And I was just like, look at that, just like look at that, the same people all over again.
No, all over again for sure.
Yeah, so it's like it's more of like what came first, the chicken or the egg. I literally made a video about this. I feel like I don't mind the fact that like the movie stars are being amplified by the MCU or like Star Wars. And I'm happy that like the script and like cinematography are also being put up on the same level of movie stars now because it's a multi-billionaire industry.
Right.
Like it's okay if other people get recognition in the process.
Yeah. Everybody can play. Everybody can play in the sandbox. You know what I mean? Everybody can have a little time to shine, a little time to win. But can I say one thing though?
Remind me when we get to Malcolm and Marie to revisit what Maria just said about crew, but we'll get to it. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to say I wanted to punch her mother in the throat, but that's just a little.
Just not helping the whole time.
I was like, who was her mom?
Julie Haggerty is a gem.
She's amazing,
and I've loved her since Airplane.
This cast is.
Did you hear that voice?
Right.
Like,
this cast is so good.
This cast is super stacked. Like you have people that you remember, but you might not remember their names. You're like, I remember that person. They're amazing.
So Wallace Shawn is phenomenal in this film, playing the old actor that's still trying to make it. I won an Emmy. Did you know? I won a Tony. Did you know? I used to be on Broadway.
Yeah.
I love
Seeing him play a
Yeah,
very
his-
confident person was
He's
kind of
so
cool because
funny.
he's not always the
Mhm.
most confident. He's usually kind of
Mhm.
meek or awkward. But in this, he was
if
like, "Nah,
you-
dude, I would have a full head of hair. I used to be
What is
the
it
shit."
called?
You know?
You watch Book Club. He's amazing in Book Club. He got all the confidence in the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
He snagged
Yeah.
Candace Bergen in that bad boy. Yeah,
No, he's
pretty
great.
good. He's pretty good.
Jeez, that's funny.
It was
Ray
weird because I
Liotta.
had just watched another movie that had
Just
Julie.
popping up out of nowhere.
Ray Liotta, yeah.
I watched Noelle with Julie. What was her name again? Julie Haggerty, or was it Haggerty? I think it is Haggerty. But she plays Anna Kendrick's mom in that, which I was kind of
Yeah.
thrown off by.
Yeah.
She's like the
So,
mom.
she's
and all
the
of it.
mom now.
She's
Yeah,
the
which is
mom.
great.
She's such a
She was
mom.
in.
She's
She was
such
in
a
the
mom.
Christmas Story Christmas,
Oh, I didn't know
and
she
she
was the mom.
played.
Oh.
Yeah, and she plays the
Oh,
mom
okay.
His mom,
in that.
yeah.
Like,
So Christmas
Ralphie's
movies
mom.
and moms,
Yeah.
those are her like. That's
Yeah.
her staple.
That's
Yeah.
her
Oh, yeah.
lane,
I
man.
love
best
it.
friends.
I
She's
love
the
it.
mom. Like,
She crushes it every
That's
time.
right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She is, and she's so
She was just
awkwardly
annoying,
funny.
like-
I love her. Anyway,
I know.
Like,
Yeah.
I would be so mad at my mom though if I'm going through
Right.
divorce, if I'm going through these things, and you still talking to my exes, you still talking, y'all still go get lunch occasionally. Like
She literally helped
fighting
him get a
both of
lawyer.
y'all.
Stop
She
seeing
helped him
Jeff.
get a lawyer.
she did.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah. So like that.
I could see
I
my mom doing the
understand it,
exact
but-
same thing though. That's like the thing. So
Right. Like
Yeah.
I understand. Like Scarlett Johansson's like not wanting to, but I see the other side of it too, because like my mom has kept in touch with like all my exes, but that's because that's the type of person she is. Like she, really like welcomes people in, and they're allowed to have an independent relationship, independent to like my like it doesn't like bug me anything, because the thing is like, you have to set boundaries around that, right? Like they
Yeah,
can't
oh
be,
for
like,
sure.
talking to
We
you.
can't come to
about
dinner.
them. Yeah.
They can come to dinner while I'm, family
Right.
dinner or something like that.
Yeah,
But
so-
yeah. No, I
but
get
let's
that.
admit,
Like,
Charlie
it's-
is no Jeff. Charlie is part of the family still. Like
yeah.
I
he
mean,
calls her
they got,
G-Ma.
I mean,
like,
but I get it though, because it's like it's a different. Here's the thing: I wanted to punch her not because of the whole Charlie thing. I wanted to punch her because of the Jeff thing. Like
Yeah,
Jeff
fair.
He was
has
a
no
boyfriend,
no.
right?
He's a boyfriend. He
Right.
has no bearings in this
Yeah.
in being in your
That's
ward
fair.
anymore.
That's so fair.
Charlie, I understand because like this is the father of my kid. Like this is he's gonna be around. He's gonna probably come over and pick. Like I get that, but you're gonna have to leave Jeff alone. You got to drop
Right.
him.
Yeah.
Break up with Jeff.
Now
It's
we
not
have to
loyalty
admit.
at that point. It's something else.
No,
So,
agreed.
Yeah.
We have to admit that
Mhm.
without G-Ma, this doesn't end happy because she introduces him to Alan Alda, which allows him to actually
Right.
get the
True.
right lawyer in the
Mhm.
long run. So
Right.
she saves the day in a weird like.
Yeah.
And that's
backwards
just
way.
like another situation where like relationships kind of need like the family and the friends who like do know the couple, because it's like lawyers will be very cutthroat about these situations and be very like not pragmatic but like very like objective and very like, well, you need to protect your own, whereas your mother's going to be like, but he's the father of your kid. You
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
So it's again, this is like speaks on the authenticity of this story. Like they really captured realistic divorce. Again, speaking from someone who's not been divorced, for me, I just watched it and was just like, wow, I feel like this is a very authentic story of the situation.
The lawyer papers
Because-
looked authentic. I can tell you that. I remember seeing the papers.
That
you know.
is a level of
Mhm.
detail that they really
He
tried
was
to
like
hide
that
in.
header on that paper. I've
No, yeah,
seen
and the
that
signature
header
lines, like it
before.
all looked pretty
See,
good.
I didn't
Wow.
like the detail where the kid he couldn't read, but he was playing with some Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and Yu-Gi-Oh.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
That's
true.
great.
Too close, a bit too close.
Mhm.
Oh, can I say one thing about the authenticity of it? Like, I love that it was shot on is it Kodak 35? I don't know if you can confirm that. But it's that because I think it was filmed the same way that with the same camera that Malcolm and Marie is filmed. And then the
Ah,
other thing
okay.
that I thought made it authentic is I noticed within all these movies, especially this one, the bathroom, like scenes that take place in the bathroom, like a lot. And I think it's because
We did. You're
I'm about to get deep
right.
about bathrooms in films because the bathrooms
do
are
it.
like
I
a
want to hear
sacred
it.
place, right? Like
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
where you get to
Yeah.
be you. No one can bother you usually. They shouldn't be coming in on you. And I think like that's to show like their relationship too really quickly. Like they just like talk to each other while they're using the bathroom, or like even the way she talks to her mom while she's using the bathroom. is
And
She's
weird,
like,
but
"Oh,
you can
look the other
tell.
way," and then doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her line is so
Ah.
great because she's like, I can do this part by myself. But you're right, because they talk about Henry using the bathroom twice. And it was weird because I remember like rewatching it and being like, why are they focused on Henry pooping so much? Like they're really like Adam Driver went out of his way to talk to Henry in the bathroom, and then he did it again I was like, did you flush? Did you wash your hands? Like it's very, it stands out. And I almost feel like it kind of has to do with the fact that in the past, like in the old sitcoms, like before the Leave It to Beaver era, they didn't show the bathroom and they didn't show the couple sleeping together. Like they wanted to add this extra layer of like, no, these people use bathrooms. They were a real couple.
People poop in this world.
I mean, but it adds a realism to it. Is what it is. Because we all poop. Like we'll get to it in Malcolm and Marie.
Henry poops a lot.
But it went to like even in Malcolm and Marie, like when she went to the bathroom, like
that was the first thing you see.
You see her go to the bathroom, like you know, like they're willing to show like more realism in.
Which I've always been curious, like how do you ladies like navigate the dress and everything? So I was like, oh, okay,
I mean,
just throw it right up over.
The moment she did it, I was like, that's exactly how it goes. I was like very proud of that scene. I was like, that's exactly how it goes.
Also, Tyler, it is the 35mm.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Shot with Ari.
You guys are so cool.
No, but that's so smart.
They're the
because
techie people.
He brings it up.
I know you guys are so cool. You know cameras and stuff. That's crazy.
It goes.
That's how I know. That's how I know you're really in it, man. Yeah.
Okay, so we do have 2 other movies to touch. Do you guys want to talk about anything else with Marriage Story?
Okay, not touch. Hold on.
Touch upon. Discuss.
Okay. I'm following these films. All right.
Not a good pair of films, or trio of films to be fondling. Do you guys have anything else about Marriage Story that stood out to you? I mean, we can all agree this is some phenomenal acting, especially from the 2 leads. This is right on the spot. Looks like Brian might have something.
I was just like, I don't know. I just kind of wish Netflix would do more of this kind of stuff. It just feels like there's a lot of like. Netflix has become such a thing now that you can recognize like, oh, this is a Netflix movie. Like and almost like they have their own flavor. Like I felt like the Adam Project was a very Netflix-y movie, and there's a lot of other movies that are like that. Like the the School for Good and Evil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But even their like action movies have that same flavor.
Yeah.
Right? They all
exactly. Like it just it's
they're
weird.
the new Hallmark.
Really weird. Like,
they're the new Hallmark, but for all genres rather than just.
There's a bit of hokiness. There's a bit of hokiness in it. There's a bit of hokey.
This doesn't feel like a Netflix movie. Like watching it after when it came, because it came out 2 years ago, I think, right? But like rewatching it now, I'm just like, this doesn't feel like a Netflix movie at all.
A24 turned their heads. They're like, hey, this is.
It felt like an A24 movie.
This could have been.
But I mean, I would want Netflix to get to that point, like. You can give me hokey. I love my holiday. You know, I've talked to you guys about this like last week. I love my, by the blueprint A, B, C, D. I know what's going to happen. Small town, and I don't know. Nobody loves me, but somehow I find love with my old high school boyfriend.
During Christmas, it's always during Christmas.
This is all. It has to snow. While we walk down the streets,
because she was living in the big city and just
she didn't know who she was.
You had to get away.
I love those. And I want Hallmark to keep making those. I want Netflix to keep making those. But Netflix is making enough money where like some of your hokey could be very cinematic, and you need to start. I think they need to start like some projects need to lend more towards like a cinematic more
maybe
feel.
If they made less projects, like, they could
there,
maybe less projects, more focus on screenplays.
But I mean, it depends
they can get
on
the actors. That doesn't seem to be.
But it depends on the projects though, because a lot of the projects that I see on there that I'm like, this couldn't have been that much money. Y'all just putting this on here because
that's the thing. They have 100 Christmas movies right now, and all they did was put green and red on everybody and shoot your Hallmark style.
I will say that I think internationally they're doing really well. Like I think that they also spend money and like they advocate for other stuff too. So I think like Netflix is just I don't know. I would love to talk with someone who works at Netflix and be like, what is going on in your head? What
I think
is an average day like?
I wonder too if like some of it is actually it's the whole thing with like A24 as well. Like some of the stuff they distribute only and some of the stuff they actually do produce. So I think Netflix is kind of in the same kind of boat where some of the stuff they're actually putting money into.
Well, people know that they're going to get.
Right.
People know they're going to get an audience on Netflix. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
And just to answer Ray's question, that this was Laura Dern won for this, but also it was nominated for Best Picture. Best actress, best actor,
Mhm.
best original screenplay, and best music. Best score.
Yeah,
Wow.
it got nominated out the. It got nominated out the wazoo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Solid film.
We're getting a call for a
I-
Netflix night, so
I agree
We'll
with
have to do one of
BB.
those now.
I agree with BB. I want to talk to the person who decide what gets canceled because like it's some stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how dare you?
I am
Yeah,
still
that's what
mad
upsets me
about
more.
Santa Clarita Diet. I'm still mad about it. Still
They
sad.
canceled
yeah.
that?
That's kind of
Yes.
surprising.
3
Yeah.
seasons on a
Very surprised
cliffhanger,
about that.
like on a cliffhanger,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a good
Mhm. Yeah.
cliffhanger too. Not lame.
Yeah. I'm still mad about the Lemony Snicket with
They canceled that too? I've
with
Yeah.
never keeping up.
NPH's limited tickets,
with Neil
Yeah,
Patrick
there's so many
Harris.
they
He
He was
canceled stuff, like-
amazing. There's not a lot of people
Mhm.
for me that can follow in like Jim Carrey's footsteps when it comes to like character
Right,
changing and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But he
Neil
killed
Patrick
it.
Harris was like perfection, and they
Mhm.
just
It's so
almost
weird 'cause,
looked
like they did 4
identical,
seasons,
too.
right?
yeah, like 3 or 4 or something like that. Yeah, I was just like, what?
Because
I was
like I
like,
expect them to cancel things after the first season, but that's like
Yeah, totally.
they're already invested.
No,
It's weird
three-
after it's like 3 seasons.
At
like,
3
yeah.
seasons, you have me invested. I'm gonna be
People are
pissed if he
invested,
cancels it.
yeah.
Yeah, give me at least
You
2
think
more to
Netflix
wrap it
would
up.
be
At least,
invested?
you know.
Exactly. That's how I feel about Westworld.
Well,
Hey, you know what?
What's-
Westworld was good.
what's weird too is like
I
Netflix.
I tried with Westworld. I tried.
Netflix also has a history of like saving other shows from other networks, which
Right.
is so
True.
now they're like in
True.
the business of
Yeah.
not really doing that anymore.
Yeah, like Manifest.
Yeah.
Which I gotta
The
watch
Killing was
Manifest.
really great.
I did not know about that. I just know about them canceling shows left and right, like PH
No, yeah,
Bounty
they'll
Hunter.
save shows that aren't worth saving and cancel the good ones. It's terrible. I'm not really.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just
If people
way
make
it
up
looks.
enough hoopla, if they make up enough hoopla, they'll save a show.
Yeah.
They think
It's
they can
true.
make some money
Yeah.
off of it.
Not Firefly
Oh,
after
yeah.
25 years,
Low.
but hey, we
Yeah.
can move on.
Firefly.
I was pretty upset about
Hold strong,
Blow,
hold strong.
I'm sorry. At this point, no offense, I know this name is like taboo now, but at this point, if Joss Whedon and company wanted to like remake that or bring that back, he's in a
could've.
position where
without
he
him.
could have.
Yeah.
He's in they're in a position where he could have done it. He
Just
just
ask,
chose
like,
not to.
There's literally
Like-
17 streaming devices. Go to Roku. Like, go to
Oh my God.
Somewhere.
Have you
Go-
guys
and
seen
it-
Roku's original movie Weird? It's pretty good.
Yes,
Pretty good.
exactly.
Yeah.
They can make original movie now. Like, they can
I'm
make
just
original
saying,
Firefly
man.
content. Yeah.
I'm
Do
Maybe
what
the Real
Community
Study will
did. Go
produce
to
a movie one of these days.
yahoo.com.
Go to Yahoo.
Yeah,
Yeah, go
that's a
to
good one.
Yahoo. Yeah.
Okay, on that note, we will go to the rating of the Marriage Story, and then we will move to Malcolm and Marie. So we're going to start in the same order we did this. So Maria, I'm going to throw you under the bus and ask, what
Oh,
do you
man.
rate the
Okay,
Marriage
so like
Story?
the first time I've rated.
It's a really soft bus.
Yeah, I don't.
It is.
I want to say like
It's made of like
8.5.
balloons, right? Just a
Yeah.
balloon
That
bus.
was hilarious. It's a
Yeah.
soft bus. That's great. That's great.
I mean, since I'm making up my rating scale, I want to say 8.5. I have no idea what my
Yeah.
10 or 1 would be or 5
Yeah,
would be.
your
but,
rating
like,
is your rating. It's fine.
yeah, 8.5 seems like solid for a marriage film, just
Mhm.
because it's like it's a little long and slow at times, but at the same time, it's just like if you invest in the characters, it's just so good. The writing and the dialogue is really great, and just the acting. I think it's the acting that really sells you on this like concept.
Oh yeah,
Because had like
it has
yeah,
to.
had one actor been different, I don't know if I would have been just as invested.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So 8.57, let's say.
Wait, 8.75?
8.5, 8.57.
8.57. So it's like a soft 8.6.
So
A
8.6.
soft 8.6.
Yeah,
Okay.
8.6. Soft
Listen, everything's soft today. Soft buses, soft
Yeah.
sixes. You know, it's great.
Yeah, after
Lala, what is
after
your
all these
soft
harsh
rating?
realities, yeah.
No, I get you on that one. For
Mhm.
me, I'll give this an 8. This was solid. This is rewatchable. This is something that, I mean, after a while, I can't do it like tomorrow. But this is like, to me, this is rewatchable, especially since I haven't seen it more than once. This is my first time viewing it. So like, this is something that I probably wouldn't mind revisiting because I still think there's layers to it that I probably just didn't pick up on or didn't catch. And then now that I know what it is, I can go back and it might have some stuff that I might not see. But like, yeah, solid 8. I could definitely watch this again. I'll recommend it to people, especially if I know some people that's going through divorce. I'm like, go ahead, watch this movie real quick so y'all can see what's popping. But yeah, this is good.
In a weird way, this might help a divorced couple take it down a notch.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's like oddly kind of hopeful, right? It still is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the ending is hopeful for sure.
No,
But make sure they watch
watch
the whole movie before they go into more divorce. Divorce.
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
The voice,
The
the
voice-
voice,
the voice talk.
the
Yeah.
voice talk,
Yes.
the voice,
Tyler, what do you rate the Marriage Story?
The voice with the voice.
the voice.
I'm gonna give this a 9 because if I feel like the director's in the room with me, he's like, "Hey, do you get this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I get it. Leave me alone." Right? I can see that you see my heart. Okay. I would have given it an 8.5. I'm giving it a 9 because I love that just the ending. I just want the little. Not only did they tie a bow on his shoe, they tied a bow on
Right,
the
on the
movie.
story.
On the story. And I was like,
Oh my God.
you know, like, you like that, Tyler? You
That's
like that?
cute.
One? Yeah, like
Listen, it's
I love this like personal conversation you're having with the director.
the way Tyler phrases things. I gotta go, you guys. I won't be able to do this show for long. I won't be able
You're
to do this show for
ruining
long.
it. You're ruining it. Or, yeah, she can't handle it.
And
How
then
about
me and
you?
her will star in a podcast story.
I like
I
it.
know, right?
I
Come
like
on.
it.
Come on.
How we made the next
Honestly,
podcast.
Tyler,
Brian, what did you think
can-
of A Marriage Story?
we can work on
It's
it.
a 9.5.
9.5. It's just growing as we're going around the bend.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to
It's a
rate
great
it a
movie.
10.
You don't rate it what you feel you need to rate it.
Go ahead, Brian. You were going to
Exactly.
say 9 is your rating for
9.5.
9.5.
Yeah, that's my rating.
That's-
Yeah. It's an excellent film. I mean, everything.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
hitting everything. Like, I mean, we're talking about like these tiny characters that have like only come in at one moment and they're still just killing it, and we're remembering
Mhm.
them. You know, like every single actor is like. I had some mild things with the kid. The actor who plays the kid. I'm just like, I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit. It's like, okay,
Dumb
whatever.
kid.
It's all about Adam and Scarlett, but like, yeah, I mean, Alan Alda's always great. I
Mm.
love Alan Alda. I mean,
Mhm.
Ray
Ella
Liotta
Mash.
is just a prick. You know,
Ray Liotta came out of nowhere for me on this one. I didn't even know he
yeah,
was in
man,
it.
Really
like,
rock.
just
Yeah.
just a hard ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, just everyone is just like really giving it. So yeah, it's a 9.5 easy.
All right, I like it. I will also give it. I don't know if anybody did. I'm going to give it an 8. I think that 8 is a
I did.
solid rating. Nice. I like it a lot.
Mm.
Definitely worth a rewatch. Definitely some of the best acting I've seen in a while. Scarlett Johansson made me want to cry just by looking at her because she was always almost crying in most
Oh
scenes.
my god, yeah.
And it just wrecked me. So hey, it's Sanella J. How you doing? Welcome, welcome. We are no longer on Twitch. We are YouTube bound.
Yeah.
It's more our
Twitch ain't love us
flair.
like we thought they did, you know?
And there's a lot of gamers over there that are like movies.
Too many rules.
What are movies? Yeah, you can't say fuck on Twitch. No, wait, that was our
Yeah.
rule. That was our rule.
Those are wrong.
Oh,
You can't
That was
talk
our
about
rule.
other things on Twitch, but anyway. So 8 for
Yeah.
me, and now we're going to move on to Malcolm and Marie, which is a small cast of 2. And do you
Oh
have
man,
does
okay,
she have
just
notes?
a sec. This was really weird. So in my view of what I'm looking at, Maria and Lala are right next to each other. And Lala was messing with her hair, but Mario was reaching over at the same time. I was just like,
All my notes.
That's
I
oh
have
man, that
all
like
my
totally
notes.
tripped me out.
That's
I was
so
like,
great.
what is
That's
happening?
so good.
We planned.
I like it.
We did.
Yeah,
We did. We talked about it beforehand. We talked
Man.
about it
I
beforehand.
grabbed right when she was going for it.
Yeah, that was really good. Sorry.
That's great. I'm
No,
not
no,
gonna
you're
rewatch that.
good.
That's
That's
good.
awesome.
I can't
Too bad we
wait
couldn't
to-
record that
I know. I was like, what is
because
it?
that's only in the one screen. That's not on our main
Yeah,
screen.
exactly. Yeah,
Oh
so it's-
no.
That was just for you
yeah,
guys.
it's not on YouTube.
Whatever, this
Okay,
it lived in
okay.
this moment. We'll always remember it.
So we've got Malcolm and Marie,
Yeah.
directed by Sam Levinson, and produced by everybody in the film. So Zendaya and
Yeah.
Oh man, okay.
John David
Yeah.
Washington.
John David.
I have
Um,
notes.
Sam,
I had a lot
yeah.
of notes. It's my first time watching it, so I had a lot of
Same.
thoughts.
Same.
But
Yeah.
to kick it off,
Same.
because we had mentioned, crews and people getting credit, this movie did what I loved about classic films, and it decides right up front, you are going to read everybody who was involved in this film right away,
Yeah,
and then we'll get
that's my
right
favorite
into
part.
it. And I love
Mhm.
that.
That's my
Bringing back
favorite
a
part.
classic
Yeah.
feel.
Mhm.
And then throwing
Yep.
the title over the macaroni and cheese, I think you couldn't have really done more than
I
that.
love that
to set
part.
the tone.
Like the zoom into the mac and cheese.
Right. So that
Yeah.
that's just my little kind of touch on just that. But why don't we start with Lala? What did you suggested this film? I know you
Yeah.
suggested
That's the one.
Marriage Story as well, but what made you want to suggest this particular film? Marriage Story, I think, was obvious. We
Oh.
all had heard of it and wanted to watch it, but I had never heard of this until
Well,
you suggested it.
Right. So I heard of it. I just never got around to watching it. And like I said, the real study is my playground where I get to see stuff that I'm like, maybe should I watch it? Or I'm timid, or I'm like, if I watch it, I might not like it. And then and so like I got this weird thing about my brain. So like I own a lot of movies where I haven't watched them because I'm afraid I won't like them. So this pushes me to watch it. And I'm a big fan of Zendaya, and I'm becoming a fan of John David's. And so I won't say I grew up with Zendaya, but I watched her grow up in a sense, like, because I'm like older than her. But I wanted to see what this film was all about. I've heard people talk about it. I use a lot of gifs from this movie, like specifically like Zendaya, because she does a lot of like like eye rolling and stuff, and those are just perfect gifs for me because I'm a little sassy. So I was like, we watched this film, and like I'm happy we did, because it was just. I like when films are like self-contained and like they don't breach out of, you know, where they're from. Like you have to be good at your job. Exactly. One location. To me, you have to be really good at your job.
A bottle
to
episode.
sit here, literally a bottle episode, for me to sit here and just watch you. You have to be really good at your job. And for me, I don't think any other two people could do this. But these two, and I'm not saying it hasn't been done before, because Ryan Gosling and Melissa, nope, that is not her name. Michelle Williams. Did a film together. Yeah, Blue Valentine, where it was kind of self-contained. It was only like in a couple of spaces, like maybe like 3 places they were like all the time. And so, you know, and they were perfect for that. So like I really wanted to like kind of get in deep. And this was the last film I watched today, so this is the freshest one on my mind. And like, I don't know, the acting was just great. And because they racially are the same race as me, just the tone and how they spoke, how they did things, it really hit for me. It was just something like that I could like really like tune into and peer into. Like even when things weren't said, I'm like, ooh, you shouldn't have did that because you just said. Like even when they didn't speak, like it's like I could see the reading between the lines when they didn't speak or when they just stared at each other or certain things. And it was just interesting to see a couple that. I think all these movies, everybody starts in the middle of their relationship for the most part, or like towards like the middle or end or however it is. Like nobody starts. We never see anybody's beginnings. We think we see the beginning on Don't Worry Darling, but we don't. But still, like it's just like you don't see everybody's beginning. You kind of like they're already kind of like lived in, and you just get shot out of a cannon. And you're right here like viewing
in a
them.
sense, they're all near the end.
Yeah,
their relationship.
Their relationship.
Good point.
And so like I enjoyed this because you just saw like two people. It just felt like they were just kind of like being real in the moment of like how they going back and forth and arguing, and then they find a love for each other again, and then it's like, you know what, one more thing, and it's another thing.
I know.
And it's another thing. It's just like, and then it was just like, oh my God, you're so funny, and I love you, and I love how your brain works, and then it'd be like, no. I forgot to say this thing. This thing is good. You need to hear this and stuff like that, and it was just like they complemented each other very well. They're very chaotic together.
The chemistry was great.
The chemistry was great, and they're just like what one would say about the other. It's like, you got this too. Like this is why we work, because we kind of balance. It's a chaotic work, but it still works. I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed this film. So yeah.
I like it. How about you, Brian? What did you think?
This one. So this was one too. Like I'd wanted to see and hadn't seen for whatever reason. So I was glad to like finally, knock this one out. It was kind of a tough watch for me. Like there's lots I liked about it, but then also stuff that didn't really work. But again, like I'd mentioned, there's like things you recognize of yourself in this. And like I've almost literally had this kind of like one night argument thing. Like, oh my God. I was like,
haven't we all though? Like,
man, I'm just like, shut up. Stop. Just no. Stop.
Shut up.
Stop it.
Yep.
No. Okay. Keep going. All right. And
it's never over.
Yeah. It was just like, man, I'm like, therapy. That's what,
yeah.
helps.
Yep.
Both of you guys need therapy.
Yeah.
Like performances are great. It was just like one of the funny things too is like, maybe Tyler was like, connecting with this too, because he's a filmmaker. So there's all these like fun filmmaking things he kept talking about.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh yeah, totally.
It was like, you brought that up because I'm just like, because he's a director and bringing up film things. So I'm just like, I wonder if like that's how it's going. I'm glad that happened.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, and they really reveal a lot about themselves and just like all these little things, like how he's bitching about this really great review.
Great,
And then you're like, oh,
hilarious.
I know. Yeah. So,
yeah, that was good. It informed his whole character. If you didn't get him at
Yeah.
any time during that film. The moment that review came in, you're like,
Oh yeah.
oh, I get you now.
Mhm.
And then love Zendaya's
You're just as bad as her.
Yeah.
She was
Zendaya's
laughing the entire
reactions
time.
was,
Yeah.
like, perfect. It was amazing.
One, she was trying to be supportive too through that moment. It's just like, wait. So that was like a kind of a cool thing that I liked about this, was like another little detail that
Mhm.
she knew how much being a filmmaker was, how important it was to him. So even though like they were having this like just all out battle between each other, when there were these moments of him talking about the filmmaking, she was there. And she
Yeah.
wasn't like,
Mhm.
you know, she was trying to find these little ways to like, oh no, but this,
Yeah.
and no, but that, but like, but they said you were
The
this,
greatest,
you know, and
right?
yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
but he still wasn't hearing that. It's like, man,
But it shows that he
she's
hears
trying.
only what he wants to
Yeah.
hear. You know,
Yeah.
he takes in only what he wants to take
Mhm.
in. Now that was like kind of like her whole point.
Yeah.
The other thing.
again, there's like
Yeah.
gaslighting
He
in
said it
this,
so well. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, it's a lot of
you know,
gaslighting.
Oh, yeah.
which like I'll
Yeah.
get into. Don't worry, darling. Which the whole movie should.
Huh.
Just
It should just
Like
be
the movie.
not,
Yeah.
they
I
already
love
had a
how- I
movie
love
called
how-
Gaslighting, so they really couldn't call
Right.
it that. But
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
that's the word
Yeah.
of the year, by the way.
Yeah, Merriam-Webster just
Yeah,
added it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
dictionary.
Yep.
So
We all saw that
Pretty-
TikTok.
right.
yeah.
Tyler, what did you think of Malcolm and Marie?
So this is my second time watching Malcolm and Marie. I'm on the side of like, I did not like this movie. Like looking at it now,
Yeah.
and I realize this is a thing with me and like Sam Levinson's work. Like if I go back on any of
Actually
his
brought it
stuff,
up. Mhm.
I'm not gonna like it. I know I'm not, because I'm not paying attention to all the fancy like camera work and stuff that's
Mhm.
carrying the film.
That makes sense.
Because I went back and kind of watched some of Euphoria, and man, that season 1 is
It's-
bad. Like it's not good.
It's not,
writing.
it's not rewatchable.
It's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
I would say like this film. Okay, so I'm gonna just go really quickly to some of my issues with it. One of them is like there's this improv thing that like Law, you might know this. Like there's this improv thing that actors do where they will, a line is said and then they'll repeat a line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they do that a lot. So I'm noticing a lot. I'm like, how much of this is
Mm.
like this script, or is he just letting them run it, or like it was like
Mhm.
distracting
Good
for me this
point.
time around.
Mhm.
Also, if you know the context of like why this movie was written, like it's in response to the critics on Euphoria.
Ooh,
And
please tell us more
Oh.
about that. I would
It's
love to hear this.
Really?
so
Tell
if you
me
go back,
more.
if you go back and watch it and like keep that in mind, you're like, oh, he's
Yeah.
reacting to how people were critical of Euphoria. All
Mhm.
of this is what's sad, because I liked a lot of the film references and stuff he was making.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then now that I know the context, I'm like,
yeah, I didn't
you
know
sound
that.
like you're like a crying baby, dude. Like you
Yeah.
couldn't handle a couple.
So he's like
of
projecting
Wow.
himself into Malcolm's role. Is that
Yeah.
why?
In a sense.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Which is what he
But in a way,
which is
he
honestly
does
what
say,
he
Yeah.
does.
Right.
Is what he does. Yeah.
Mm.
But in a way, he
But,
did.
like-
He self-admitted that he's a crybaby because he calls himself that
Yeah.
in the script. Like he
Right.
literally does
But
say.
like
it.
knowing Sam Levinson is just
He's like doing it to like, see guys, I can still knock on myself too. Like that's what it
Yeah.
means.
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
I
makes
get
it
that.
different. That's
I
another
get that.
layer for sure. I'm glad you
I
brought
get
that up.
that.
It is kind of passive aggressive then when you think about it that way.
Like, it gives
when you
that
know the
vibe.
background.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sam.
No, go ahead, Mario.
Yeah.
No, go,
I
Maria.
was
Go ahead.
gonna-
Yeah.
I'm like, somebody go.
I was gonna say that like so I enjoyed the movie, but like knowing that Sam Levinson made it definitely swayed me a little bit. 'Cause I'm just like,
Mm.
it's Sam Levinson. What is really going on? So like I'm glad that you brought
Right.
that up,
Yeah.
shed into
Mm.
light because
I've never seen Euphoria, so I don't have that connection.
I
but
didn't know
I
that
will
back
say
Yeah.
I don't have that connection, so
Interesting.
like that's like not in my mind. But I will say this: I know of Euphoria,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
the moment I watched this and I like watched it towards the end, I was like, this is Rue grown up.
Well, so
Mm.
that's part of
this
the
is her grown up.
commentary. Like
Yeah.
that's, part of the
Yeah, that's her
commentary
grown
he's
up.
making. He's like, oh. Yeah, I'm more than just like my drug story. I'm like, but dude, you kind of like only talk.
I know,
about
because that's
that.
what
Yeah,
you
you replay
Yeah,
it a lot.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that.
I definitely, as soon as she brought up like it was a drug story, so I like rolled my eyes immediately because I'm just like, okay, and nothing against him like drawing from his own stories, but hearing
Right.
Mhm.
because it was Zendaya playing the drug addict again, and I'm just like, that's literally Euphoria.
Yeah.
So
I
this
was
is
like,
really
this
a
is-
movie
Oh, man.
about him and
Yeah,
Zendaya
this-
Yeah.
after making
it does.
Euphoria. Oh, that's
Yeah.
No,
that's
this
weird.
is Rue at the end. I was like, once Rue, like once we get to the end of Euphoria,
Right.
whenever Euphoria ends, she's
Mhm.
going to this is going to come to fruition somewhere. I was
Right.
like, this
Well,
is
if
her.
you've seen season 2, you will.
I haven't seen any seasons.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any seasons.
Oh.
Season 2 is its own thing.
Oh, one more problem. I like I'm not black, so I can't really speak on like that how accurate I felt it was. Coming from a white man directing and writing this screenplay, it almost felt like these characters were like, yeah, they're black, but they also feel like they're just vessels to help him act out his like rant. And like
Right.
No, I get
that's
that.
what it is. Like
Oh man, dude,
I will say,
things too. Then.
I will say, I'm happy somebody brought it up because I didn't want to bring it up, but I looked it up, and a lot of people had complaints about this film when it first came out. They were like, "This is a white man writing and directed. This is two black actors. You're trying to write an experience," and even though it's kind of blanketed in just being like anybody could be in these roles, like it's not really color related because anybody can be a drug addict, anybody can be a film,
Right.
anything like that. So like, but Zendaya felt really upset about that because she was like, this is John David, Sam's, and I's films just as much as it is anybody else's. Like she was like, when people kind of look at it that way, she feels as though they're taking away her agency and what she put into the film. So,
well, especially if they were doing a lot of off the cuff rather than scripted moments, then it would have been what felt right in the moment, and what her and John David were doing, and you know, bouncing off of Sam, obviously,
or any input or any because I'll tell you this right now, some of the terminology that was used, I know for a fact Zendaya and John David was like, let's change this to this, because I was there's no way this white man wrote that line, or there's no way that this white man wrote them to say this word, and I was like,
that's the thing.
That's culture.
I wish there was a version of this movie where I want to see the version where Sam Levinson had nothing to do with it, because I bet it would be a billion times better. Like if you just let Zendaya do it, like.
And like, I'm really happy you gave that perspective, because like that was my worry while watching this, and this is kind of my worry with watching Olivia Wilde's direction with Lori Darling, because we'll get into that later. Yeah, but, like, because sorry, Tyler, I don't want to like rain on your parade, but like I have a lot of thoughts about this movie with the Sam Levinson of it all, because it's like Euphoria also ends up being this like commentary about like the LGBTQ experience, like Black experience, but it's also a white director only speaking, and it only goes so far. Like the terminology is very like pretending to be Gen Z. It's pretending to understand experiences. Yeah. So I feel like I was worried that Malcolm and Marie did that. I'm like, is it actually experiences? Did Zendaya and like John Washington write this, or was it Sam Levinson doing that? So I'm really glad you gave that perspective, because it's like we can't figure that out. But like knowing Sam Levinson, he tries to
he definitely can't figure that out. Like he definitely can't figure that out.
Seeing that,
like
he
asking somebody.
He really
no, for sure.
The thing about that too is like, it's great that if John and Zendaya and were having some input on it, but like when critics and like us as audience go into it, we don't know that, so we're taking like, oh, the only perspective we know is like, oh, Sam Levinson was the director, and this is like a white man's perspective of like it's almost like, I mean, I hope that Zendaya and John David had really did some like improv, like really worked and made those scenes their own, especially in those specific ones, because there's very specific language used in certain scenes in this, especially when he's talking about like, oh, this white woman critic, and like, so he really goes off on that, because you can like, that can be misconstrued as like, oh, maybe it's Sam Levinson trying to work through his own like white guilt stuff, or like whatever it is.
Very true.
What I mean? Like,
and honestly, there could be some there could be like some honest believability to that, but I will say there are times in circles where we won't say the name, we'll just be like, we'll literally define you as your color. So we'll be like, you mean that white girl you talked to at the party last week? So like to me, so like some of the terminology, I was just like, this is how like my family talks, or this is how like me and my friends talk when we're like, because like if we don't especially since he already has like an issue with this woman, you don't say their name type of thing. But again, I get your perspective where you're like, we don't know that. I don't grow up in this culture, so like I'm
like I had no idea about the whole Euphoria background either. Like,
like, what is he doing?
And it's more like wariness of like Sam Levinson of it all, because especially because like as his reputation went, it got worse and worse, and like he's just been known to be like. So it's just like and I will say, like, I was pleasantly surprised by Malcolm and Marie, because like I heard nothing about it, so I'm really glad that Law picked it, because I was just like, wow, I would have never watched this movie otherwise. And like my thoughts are actually kind of different from what everyone's mentioned, which I'll talk about later, but like my thought was really weird. I'm like, oh, Sam Levinson made this, like after Euphoria, after season 2 of Euphoria, with like Sydney Sweeney, with everything, like who's to say what he's like really making Zendaya say and do. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I'll give him like some. I'm not like, even if I took out all of that, just even like looking at this movie, like the production design, right? Like,
yeah,
a part of me was like, what is any of this saying about the characters? And again, like the worst part about this movie for me was that I didn't feel like they loved each other, even like by like it was weird watching Marriage Story first and then watching this, because Marriage Story, yeah, they're saying some mean stuff, but you know, like they also still love each other.
It's hard for them.
yeah.
To say,
And
like, yeah.
well, this is why I love that like we picked these two movies together, because I feel like the whole point of this movie was like there's no authenticity. Like this couple, it's just like kind of manufacturing their
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah.
Whereas Marriage Story is completely authentic.
Authentic.
I really
Yeah.
love the juxtaposition between.
But yet
the two
they got
projects
together in very similar ways.
Yeah,
That was
Yeah.
what was really interesting, is these movies almost paralleled in a lot of ways. Based on everything you guys just said, which I was much more enthralled with listening than engaging, which is not normal for
we
me.
said more than the movie did.
That makes me want to know who came up with the 40 Legos and a mule line, because that stood out to me as funny, but also kind of not funny. Like that's kind of making light of something very serious that.
Which is, I'm gonna say, which is something we do in the Black community. I'm just being like very honest.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would say it was probably Zendaya.
Our comedy is like our pain is our comedy, and we make fun of stuff that probably would rub people the wrong way if they heard it outside of a certain context. Because to me, when she said it, I don't think the way that it came about and the way that she said it was saying it to kind of like throwing it back on like what's been said to like other like people of color like in film or actors or something like that, because like that whole commentary was just like just a talk of like this is what's going to happen, because you know that they don't care about us anyway, so this is what's going to happen. So like, oh, you made this you know, you made this Lego movie, that's great, now make this Lego movie with Black people so it can be about something, because that's all you can do as a Black film director.
She even says, if you're going to make a toy company $1 billion, great job. Like
great job. Yeah,
that whole like rant was very telling about the whole industry as well. Sidebar, I will say, just because like I can experience into it, I've been in a toxic relationship where like you're not fundamentally good with someone, but like you kind of just work. I did appreciate how they showed a toxic relationship, because like these two people are not good for each other. They are not good, but they just have these like moments of like just getting along and really knowing each other better than anyone probably will ever know them. And like as someone who has been in that, I'm just like, so well done. Unfortunately,
she kind of says that at the. Oh, go ahead, Snitty.
I was gonna say it's the idea that two broken people will find each other because they have that much in common with each other.
Sure.
And
they did that well.
They'll lift each other's broken parts up rather than the good parts. I think their relationship was also a lot based on sex, like a lot based on sex.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's
toxic
all
relationships
surface
are.
Right.
Yeah, it's a very surface level.
Toxic relationships usually stay together because they're like, and the sex is so good though, I love this person. It's like
chemistry. It's all vibes and chemistry. It's vibes and
like,
chemistry.
No, you don't. Stop the press, because it's like, but it's like I felt like as toxic as it was, because I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, you toxic, because throughout the whole thing, like neither one of them wanted to bend or break for the other person.
No.
Each one wanted to win. I'm going to win.
It was all this
and
petty,
they use it as like a winning thing.
A winning thing. And like that's what he was, and that's what he's doing as a, like, I'm not trying to rag on filmmakers there, Tyler, but like the way that they made it right was that he has such a big ego as a film like maker, that it's just like, my shit don't stink. And she's just like, but all my shit stinks, but I don't get that same thing from you. It's almost like one of those things where it's like they're in this cycle. Then you manipulate your own game,
and then you borrowed it,
and then can't even admit that this is my life, but then you want to hurt me by saying, "Oh, this is Kiki, this is this person, this is that," and then it's like, come on,
just like being dismissive. And...
I was also wondering, like, I felt like I know that there's a huge stage difference between Zendaya and John Washington, so I was wondering if like that. For me, that's like what took me out of it, because I'm just like, they're so different. Like age difference I kept thinking about that. So just like, I wonder if there was a huge age difference between the characters, because it's like, I kind of felt like he was using that above her. Like, I've had all these experiences, I've had these relationships, I've had all these people before you. Yeah, I'm just like, did he do that on purpose, or was that like subliminal messaging? So that was the one thing that got to me. I'm just like, is the age difference me, or was it in the script? I want to ask Sam Levinson, because it's like a very him move to do too.
Something that stood out to me in a positive, because there's a lot of knocking this film, which is fine, of course, that's the whole point. But one thing I did enjoy was each time they transitioned from a fight to a lovey moment or back again, you could see them working it out. Each actor sat there,
Right.
starts with him with the mac and cheese. You know, he's eating the mac and cheese, he's getting more angry, and he prepares himself to just go after her and scream across the house. And that happens with both of them. She laid in the tub until she was like, no, I got this new idea. I'm going to go after him. And they both did really great with trying to show those transitions without any dialogue. And that's not easy. I think that both actors did an amazing job in this role. And only being 2 actors, you're literally carrying the entire film. That is a tricky
I will
thing.
say that. Yeah,
That's a hard
100%.
thing.
No.
Yeah.
And I had no idea who Sam Levinson was before this film because I've never seen Euphoria, and he's only got a small filmography. And so I watching this film, I see all the people that are producing it. I see the name Sam Levinson, but that's all I saw was just a name. And to me, that's a name is colorless. There's no way to know necessarily from a name. I mean, there's some stereotyping you could do to some degree, but so yeah, I don't know. I think it's a beautifully shot film, especially some of the scenes where they're with the mirrors at the end, where you can tell they're definitely split, and it's a very direct metaphor for their splitting. I liked it as far as those things, but
I don't even think they're
The
splitting.
opening too, though.
they might not split. They might get married for all we know. Like they
No,
might
I
get
don't
married.
even. No. I don't even think they're splitting because to me it's one of those things. The way I looked at it was like, she kind of says it when she's like in the bedroom and she's just like, this is kind of like what I wanted you to say. Just like, thank you for all these things that I've done that you just take for granted. Because it's one of those things where it's like, he can't see past his own nose. And she's like, well, you've alienated everybody. I'm the only one left. So I feel like
I did like that line, yeah.
You know, and so for me, I look at it like they're all they got. You know, if they don't have each other, then they're literally going to walk through this world alone because like, who else can she trust with all this information that she's giving him? Like, he's seen her at her worst. Like, he's picked her up and he's probably like stopped her from doing drugs and things like that. And she's, like she said, I read over 100 scripts and drafts and did all these things. It's like, who else is willing to do that for you that actually cares? The only thing they can do is argue, giggle, and get back together. Like, that's all they can do because nobody else would want to go through that with them.
He drank an awful lot during this film because every time the argument would stop for a minute and take a breath, he would go refill with a new alcohol each time too.
Yeah,
like,
each time.
He had bourbon, then he had gin that he had.
Also, what I appreciate though is that he peed a lot too.
They both peed in the movie. They
Going
both
back
did
to
pee.
what Tyler said originally.
No, but I'm saying she peed like a couple, like one time I think we seen her pee. Like maybe
she went outside to pee.
She said, "What? I'm not saying like I'm saying like what we saw. Like we've heard her say she peed like a second time, but we saw him pee multiple times." And I was like, when I'm a little liquored up, I be peeing. I was like, I like that. To be
the arm on the wall.
Yes, the arm on the wall. I was cracking up. I was like, this is what I needed. This is what I needed.
Now, talking about John David for a minute, I went and I already knew he was Denzel's son, but I don't. It's weird because there's a hint of Denzel in him, like you can hear it occasionally. But for the most part, he totally has his own feel, his own approach, which I really appreciate. He's not a carbon copy of his dad. Which a lot of actors tend to be. I would say Michael Douglas is a lot Kirk Douglas. Like there's a direct connection in the way they act, in the way they learn from their parents. It makes sense. Those legacy relationships. But my only other experience with him was with Tenet. From his mother. So
I haven't seen Tenet yet, and I own it.
So he's kind of quiet in that movie, while in this movie he's very loud and very in your face. So it's two very different degrees of him as an actor. And so I appreciate seeing that.
And I've seen him in Black Klansman.
BlackGirlMarvel.
So it's like, you kind of give me similar vibes. But,
so he's this over the top in Black Klansman?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the dialogue is different in that, because it's understated for sure in that one. And he doesn't talk much, but he gets a chance to do his acting ability. But this was very dialogue heavy, this one. So he performed it very well as well.
I was proud of him.
Acting was great.
I was like, look at all this talking. I was like, look at you talking and stuff. I was all proud of him. I was like, look at you. Because his mother is like a phenomenal actress herself. And so he's always wanted to be removed from his father because of how popular he is. And so he almost went by his mother's last name. But then his family was like, come on, man. Like, it's okay. Like, you can still
Right.
strike out on your own. But I think he picked up a lot of his, not to say he didn't get any acting from his father, because there are times in this film where
Yeah.
he says something that I'm like,
You hear Denzel. You
Yeah,
absolutely
that's
hear
what
him.
I'm
Yeah.
saying. I picked up on it. I picked up on it with this
I
movie.
said,
more than-
okay.
Yeah.
But I think he picked up a lot from his mom, and because she's an amazing like theater actress, stage, like she's done a lot of stuff. And so I think he picked up a lot like from his mom, which is why his acting seems slightly different. Just slightly left skewed from like his father. So which
Well,
I think he'll appreciate.
I looked up, you look at trivia on IMDb, which is fun, especially with actors. And of course, it lists Denzel and a bunch of other people he's related to in Hollywood, because that's the way it is. But it lists his favorite movies, which I thought was interesting, because 2 of them are Denzel films, which I was like, okay, so it's not like he's not watching his dad, because he's definitely paying attention. But
I mean,
he
how
said
could he not?
Glory and Man on Fire were 2 of his all-time favorite films. And I mean,
Good
both of
ones,
those are phenomenal.
Those are solid, man.
And those are 2 of Denzel's best films. So it's
Yes,
kind of
good
hard,
taste.
But
And
Coming
then
to
we know
America
that-
and a few others.
Did we know that Dakota is joining him on Equalizer 3? So that's gonna be a nice little
Yeah.
reunion.
Interesting.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
gonna be
that's
good.
gonna be so cute. Like a whole like reunion.
I actually haven't seen
Yeah.
those yet. I
Love
need to
that.
watch both of those.
Sir,
I know. I watch
good.
most Denzel stuff too. Like he's like my guy. I love watching everything he
I didn't
does.
either.
But I do plan on it. But I
Well, this
almost
is
feel like if I
Tyler's
watch
last-
if I watch
Tyler
too
and
much
Smitty's
I know,
last
I
show.
know. If I watch too much Denzel, he starts to have the Morgan Freeman treatment, and I don't want that. I would like to not
Okay,
feel
what's
like,
the Morgan
okay,
Fre-
I've seen another
the-
Morgan Freeman movie.
Oh,
He's in everything, and you start to get just like he becomes
Denzel's body of work
dry.
is
You
so
know?
very varied, though. It's very
Yeah.
I'll agree with that.
diverse.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
He needs to play a
Yeah.
bad guy a little more often. I love most of his
Equalizer is
bad
just
guys.
like Liam Neeson-ish, like esque era.
Maybe
you
that's
know?
my
Like,
other
he's
problem is that
taken.
everybody's done the like I'll kill you with my special skills movie, and I'm like I don't need
But
this
that's why we love
action stuff
them.
anymore. I don't know.
no,
I don't know. That's
His
just
is-
me. I don't
No,
know.
but I'll say this though. His is different. His is nowhere near the Equalizer films are not like that at all. He's not like out for revenge or anything like that. It's way more subtle and understated than that. You should check it out.
They need to make Crimson
It's-
Tide 2 where he's the captain of the boat now, and I get to see him do more of the like ranting and the Silver Surfer stuff. That was one of my all-time favorite roles by Denzel.
Yeah, man, it was so good.
I love that movie.
You got to get someone though opposite him though that can
That can Gene
hold
Hackman
their
it up.
own. Like
Right.
That's
yeah,
me.
yeah, because
That's me.
with Hackman,
It is.
between Hackman
Yeah.
and him,
Yeah, no, they
Oh,
really
yeah.
like went after each
Yeah.
other.
Put me in, coach. That's me. That's me, Brian. Put me in. Yeah.
You're like Viola Davis, move over. It's my
You feel me?
Yeah.
Listen, I keep
Never
crying and
Never
snot comes from my nose. I got this.
You're gonna
What
have
do
to
you
wipe it
check in,
around that
check?
ring. Like you really have to
Listen.
get in there.
That's all
No,
you
I'm
need.
pulling out for the film. You know what I mean? It's no problem. Pull it out for the film.
That'd be weird. I've never seen you without it. That would throw me off.
Really? That's
No.
crazy.
Have you ever not had it on film?
I want to say yeah, but I can't remember.
Oh, fair enough. Any other thoughts on Malcolm and Marie? We do have yet another film and the pre-review to get to, and I think we're going to have a lot to say about doing Worry Darling one way or the other. We're going to
Oof.
have a lot to
Oof.
say.
Mm-hmm.
Any other
It
thoughts?
surprised me. I will say that it was surprised me. I was expecting to not like it, but I actually ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought. That's all.
Okay.
But
okay.
like very,
like, that's
my
my-
bar was very low. My bar was very low, but like, I
right?
was like, oh, this isn't terrible. The acting was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't Zendaya, though, I don't know if it would have been as good. I do think like she kind of carried it for me.
Do you think anybody else could have played that role?
No. And like me enjoy it as much. No. And it sucks because like she's like the Sam Levinson like star treatment, like with Euphoria. So it makes sense that she had to. But in a weird way, I think like she had to do this role because it's literally Rue all over again. So
Yeah.
It's fair.
Mhm.
It's fair. Okay, let's rate it. Let's go, Brian.
I'm gonna give this one a 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
On Law scale, that's rewatchable.
Yeah. It is.
Tyler.
I'm gonna give this a 6.
And that's not
Fair.
rewatchable on
Yeah.
my scale.
Sorry, I had to rewatch it because of the show, but
No, that's
Yeah.
no problem.
We do that
that's
too.
fair. That's fair.
Hey, that's fair.
Hey,
I'm
if
not,
you
I'm
watch
not
it the
mad
last
at
2
that.
weeks, you don't have to rewatch it because then you'll remember it. But
Right.
Yeah.
I guess with the amount of films we
Facts.
all watch, that's still kind of a tall order. So how about you, Maria? What did you think?
I'll give it a 6.5 because I'm not going to rewatch
There you
this
go.
movie. But it surprised me. That's why.
yeah.
So
All right. How about
Yeah.
you, Law?
I don't know. I like chaoticness. I'll give it an 8 because 1, it's chaotic. 2, I enjoy the performances by both actors.
Mhm.
I enjoy what they did. And it's just like, to me, it's believable of how they spoke to each other. I've seen it before. I've been around family like that, like, you know, so it just for me it's just set a little bit different, so I'll give it an 8.
All right, I'm gonna give it a soft 7, so that's like a 6-9, but it rolls right over to a 7. I think the aesthetic, I think the acting both keep me engaged, and just some of the things they said made me go, oh my god, why did you say that? I like a train wreck sometimes, so it is fun to watch people go after each other. As long as it's not my relationship, I can watch a relationship implode and enjoy some of that. So if you want to watch the most toxic relationship with anger and jealousy.
It was really fun dialogue. The dialogue was really well done.
I agree. Now, his rant during the review portion, like where he goes off about what it's like to be a director. That was.
It's like he doesn't breathe during that time either. He's just like,
and he's yelling and screaming.
I'm not trying to be all of these directors.
Wait, shout out to whenever he's boxing by himself in the field, though. Like,
that was
just,
great.
like, giggling to myself. I'm just like, what is he?
Great.
Like, is he? Like,
That's he. I've seen that because my brother, my dad, they've done stuff like that because they're like, they want to hit something, but they don't want to hit a person. So they will go take their anger out on the air.
Well, and the house was all glass, so you don't want to hit the house either.
But also, they don't own that house.
Right.
That's a production. That's a production house. So he's not going to destroy that house.
Right. So you were even smoking outside. Like they were taking care of that house.
Yeah. And it was also after it's like I think she said, like Marie said something like she tore him to bits. So they would always do this. Like each of them would have a moment where they were like do the little random monologue, tearing of them apart, and then they would sit and stew in it, and then they would go up for round 2. So like she did that. So he's like, I'm gonna take a walk, and then he just like started hyping himself out and punching the air, and then went and told her about the whole bathtub scene with I think
when he came to the window. Man, if I had a pistol, he'd have been dead in that moment. You knock on this window, I'm taking a bath. I'm taking this. What's wrong with you? But I love how he was eating mac and cheese. I was like, that is so aggressive.
Well, I was worried for John David during that scene, dude. I was like, dude,
is he going to choke?
Yeah.
Is he going to choke? Because, and also, let's be honest, I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. Eat mac and cheese. But that was Kraft mac and cheese. That was from the box. It ain't that good, bruh. I was like,
she made it well. It was nice and slightly, not soupy, but like slick. Like it had a, it looked good.
Her commentary after when he was doing that, like he's going to make an ad for Kraft mac and cheese. It was just like out of nowhere.
I mean, he mentioned his Lego movie, so she knew he wanted corporate sponsorship. Anyway, okay.
Ray asked a really good question. She asked, would y'all say the story was good or just that they performed it well?
I think if anyone else acted it might not have hit as strong. I think the performance with the story, it was like a combination of both.
Typical story,
that's my thought.
Good performances.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a story. Agreed. It's a story that's been told before, but it's just elevated by like some of the writing and the performance, like just what these two brought to it in particular for me.
I agree with you, Brian. It's tough to say there was a story. It was really just a set of moments over an evening, if anything.
It's dialogue. It was honestly just dialogue, which is impressive.
But to me, that's like a real life conversation. You never
really
but like
what's the goal though? You know what I mean? Like there's no story. There was no like
it's
actually through line to the story. There's right.
Now,
Levinson's literally just
then I'm probably gonna like Euphoria then. Like I'm probably gonna like Euphoria because to me this was just like if we walked in on two people having an argument, like two people in a relationship having an argument. So to me that's just like
it's more like a play.
I was and like I like theater,
this
and to me that
play,
I didn't.
Right.
I honestly, it was slightly Fences like, but not really like Fences.
Oh yeah, it's like a comparison.
Just where it's just like it's a conversation. It's like we're talking, we having this thing, but it's still like but they still had like a story. But for me, it was just like walking in on people having. You're like, oh, I shouldn't watch this train wreck, but I think I'm gonna sit back and watch.
And this is why like Sam Levinson and all those clips of Euphoria are so memeable and so like trending on TikTok because it's literally just like great moments of dialogue, but it doesn't go anywhere. And Malcolm Marie was like the movie version of that.
All right, I like it. We have the pre-review that BlindBiggie put together for us, so we're going to move over to that and see what movies are coming out this week. Thank you, Biggie, for that, and we will be right back.
The pre-review with BlindBiggie. The pre-review with BlindBiggie.
Welcome to the pre-review. I'm your host, BlindBiggie. The pre-review is where I tell you about upcoming movie releases in the theaters and beyond. This is for the week December 5th through 11th. First up is Idina Menzel, Which Way to the Stage? Idina Menzel's path to realize a lifelong dream, headlining a concert at Madison Square Garden in her hometown of New York City. This musical biography has some great performances by Idina Menzel, as well as showing her journey on this magical trip. Idina Menzel, Which Way to the Stage, premieres December 9th on Disney+. Next up, It's a Wonderful Binge, or Binge 2, It's a Wonderful Binge. This year, the binge happens miraculously on Christmas, unleashing a new holiday adventure featuring magical storybooks, catchy songs, and more. This movie stars Caitlin Olsen, Danny Trejo, Paul Scheer, Eduardo Franco, and more. This definitely looks like it's going to be pretty hilarious. I can't wait to see it. It's a Wonderful Binge premieres December 9th on Hulu. Next is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. This musical fantasy stars Gregory Mann, Ewan McGregor, Finn Wolfhard, Ron Perlman, Tilda Swinton, David Bradley, Cate Blanchett, Christoph Waltz, Tim Blake Nelson, John Turturro, and Bernd Gorman. A father's wish magically brings a wooden boy to life in Italy, giving him a chance to care for a child. Now, this is a retelling of the classic tale of Pinocchio, where a puppet comes to life based on a wish from his maker. This definitely looks like it has a spin that only Guillermo del Toro can put on a film, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio premieres on Netflix December 9th. Next up is the holiday horror movie Christmas Bloody Christmas. It's Christmas Eve, and fiery record store owner Tori Toombs just wants to get drunk and party until the robotic Santa Claus at a nearby toy store goes haywire and makes her night more than a little complicated as Santa begins a rampant killing spree through the neon-drenched snowscape. This movie stars Riley Dandy, Sam Delich, Dora Madison, and Jeff Daniel Phillips. It's going to be great to see this Santa Claus just destroy everything. I can't wait. Christmas Bloody Christmas premieres in a limited run in movie theaters and on Shudder December 9th. Next up is one I've been waiting for a while. I'm a huge Darren Aronofsky fan, and this movie, The Whale, looks phenomenal. Brendan Fraser stars, as well as Sadie Sink, Hong Chow, and Ty Simpkins. An obese and reclusive English teacher tries to reconnect with his estranged teenage daughter for one last chance at redemption. Now, it looks like Brendan Fraser is wearing some sort of a bodysuit that makes him heavier in this, and I gotta tell you, this really looks gripping. I am just dying to see this movie. Darren Aronofsky's psychological drama, The Whale, premieres in movie theaters on December 9th. Now it's time for some comedy romance with Something from Tiffany's. A woman's life gets upended when an engagement ring that was meant for someone else leads her to the person she's meant to be with. This movie stars Zoe Dutch and Kendrick Sampson. I gotta say, it looks like some pretty good romance and comedy in this one. The comedy romance, Something from Tiffany's, premieres on Amazon Prime Video December 9th. Next up, and I know I'm not the only one excited for this, is Empire of Light. This drama romance is directed by Sam Mendes and has a cinematographer that some of us know and love as Roger Deakins. A romance develops in a beautiful old cinema in the south coast of England in the 1980s. This movie looks like it has some really great shots in it, and with Roger Deakins behind the camera, you know for sure it's going to be amazing. The drama romance Empire of Light premieres in theaters on December 9th. Last on my list, and I forgot this one during the last show because it came out in the theater for a short time on December 2nd. The movie is Emancipation. Emancipation stars Will Smith as Peter, an enslaved man who flees a plantation in Louisiana after he was whipped within an inch of his life. He has to outwit cold-blooded hunters and the unforgiving swamps of Louisiana on a torturous journey north. Now, this movie looks grueling, and to see the journey of an enslaved man running to freedom is definitely something to behold, and I can't wait to see this one. The action thriller Emancipation premieres on Apple TV Plus December 9th. And that looks like it's all for this week's pre-review. Hope to see you out there.
And we are back from the pre-review. Thank you, as always, BlindBiggie, for giving us all the movies coming up. You are amazing. I think this is a perfect time for Lala to give the social media pitch that she's been doing lately. Let's go ahead and hear that real quick. Oh no!
That was a great spiel.
That was one of your best spiels.
That was a really good one.
So
that was a great spiel.
Law said, "Follow us everywhere." That's all she said. That was all she said.
I had a great spiel. It was so good.
Yeah,
so good.
We can vouch for it.
Yeah, I blame Snitty for this, and this will be his last time on the show.
It's this finger. We'll blame this finger. That's what we'll blame.
I'm kidding. Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
They can hear you now.
Okay.
I know they can hear you now.
I'll give a quick version of this. Hey guys, we love you. Follow us on all social media. We greatly appreciate that. It helps the channel, as well as follow us on all podcasts. I'm about to get very British. Follow us on all podcasts. It's gonna get real bad. Follow us on all podcast channels. That's Spotify, Apple, Google, Anchor, everything. And as well, if you want to join our Discord too. Yes, Crample. If you want to follow us and talk to us and have conversations with us, please join our Discord. The link will be in our bio. We'd love to have you over to chit chat and, request a movie and all that jazz. Let's get back to the regular scheduled programming.
All right. So we're going to
take it away, MrSniDBitS.
All right. And thank you very much, BlackGirlMarvel. This has been a presentation of Crample by all the movie things.
Sponsored by Crample.
So we're going to move on to Don't Worry, Darling. This is Olivia Wilde's sophomore direction. This is her second movie, I believe. And she takes on quite the cast with Florence Pugh, Harry Styles, as well as Chris Pine, and herself playing one of the side characters.
That was the biggest mistake in this movie, but go ahead, y'all.
So we're going to start off with all the movie things. What did you think about Don't Worry, Darling?
This is the second time I watched it. I will admit I liked it a little more this time around, but like you kind of, because it was kind of fun. Like now that you know, like what the big secret is, which I feel like
spoiler alert, tell everybody
new, but yeah, it's kind of fun to like pick these little things up a little better. But like, yeah, it's still just like not. It definitely does not live up to the hype that was surrounding it, and there was all this drama around it. I think that really hurt it. And then there's like, the whole all they live it wild stuff that we hear, like, so it's hard to like go into it. But I will say, like, I do appreciate a lot of the themes that are in this movie. Like I mentioned, like it is like heavy gaslighting and just like the theme of gaslighting and just like a lot of patriarchal stuff in it. And just like, and it's crazy. Like when I was just paying more attention this time around, and it's just like all these like little details that I really appreciated more about it this time around. But yeah, still not like one for me that I'm gonna like, I'm gonna go watch Don't Worry, Darling, for the fourth, fifth time. Like, yeah, it'll. So,
yeah.
Oh, can't hear you.
We can't hear you, Snitty. No, we can't hear you, but I can read your lips though. We can't hear you.
We can make it up for him.
Yeah. Go over, Lala.
So this is the 13th time I saw this. So.
I like it. Tyler, what did you think of Don't Worry, Darling?
So this is also my second time watching it. I really like the cinematography. I love, and if I had to, I had to double check. It's Matthew Libatique.
Yeah.
He's Filipino, and like I think we had a conversation about this. I didn't know he filmed Iron Man and Black Swan, so I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like the look of this,
I love
like
him.
really good.
Yeah.
There's, I don't know. I have this thing with like. You know, like characters, like instead of like, you know, like show me what you're feeling, they just say things.
Exposition.
Like, but I love you because I love you, and like, oh, don't do that. You can't do that. Okay, I won't do that. Like they're just very like, okay, cool. Like you're just kind of spoon feeding it, but at the same time, nothing's being answered. Like, I do agree. I do like a lot of the themes that it tries to tackle. I think, unfortunately, it tackles too much and then it doesn't answer it by the end. Like, it has too many things to, like...
Yeah.
There's a lot of dropped stuff in this film.
Yeah, that whole airplane thing, too, was like... I was like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
I have some thoughts on that this time
the
around.
egg
But
thing. Yeah.
I
was like,
that scene...
Where'd the plane go?
Yeah. One, she like ran across an entire desert, right? That's like canonical, right? That happened. Okay.
Dude.
Yeah.
She's like, and then I was like in my head, I'm like, what is your plan though? Are you gonna like? What was your plan? Because she's like, oh, I'm looking for this plane. I'm gonna walk up this mountain. I'm like, I'm pretty sure the mountain didn't. That's not where the plane landed.
But you should have gone around the mountain.
Around the mountain, right?
Yeah.
But you know, for
Because
plot,
it went behind.
Yeah,
Right.
Behind
It didn't
mountain.
hit the top or something.
So you would think.
Spatial reasoning was not that great.
But you know,
like
I guess.
that's like half the start. Like that's half the script for me is like. Characters are like, I'm gonna go here because there's plot happening over here. So I mean, like,
and it was just like plot given for plot's sake. Like things just didn't add up necessarily or make sense for the narrative.
And I also the structure of it, like even by the way that they introduced, like, I know this is like based on a book or something, but the way that they introduced that like this dystopian sort of world and like this weird like, oh, she's in this what is her fake reality, virtual reality. I couldn't find a word for it. Virtual reality, and like by that time, I'm like, well, we only have like 30 more minutes. Like, why did you introduce this? You were building up to like, oh, what is victory? Are they building something? Like, I kind of wanted like a payoff, maybe, or even if you weren't going to do it, then why did you spend so much time alluding to like the possibility
building up to it?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah, like why were there these earthquakes?
So
Yeah,
I have
so
thoughts
many
about that and the
questions, so
airplane,
many
but
questions.
I'll get to both of those.
And the eggs. Why were the eggs
The
randomly
eggs
empty
too,
one
like-
day? Like a whole carton of eggs empty.
I haven't thought about that too.
I feel like
So, like, just, like, glitches in the Matrix?
that's what it was. I feel like her brain was like, wait a second. And she was like, this isn't real. And then it clicks back to like her back in the simulation and thinking everything's real.
Right.
So that's what that is.
I noticed that the second time, like the first time, I'm like, why are just things happening? And like the second time, I was like, okay. I will say on a technical level though, the part where she was cracking the eggs in her hand, I don't know if anyone else noticed this. The sound design was just slightly off.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like,
really?
that's not. I was like,
It's timed weird. Like,
yeah.
So
I was like, that's not.
Since we touched on the eggs, the airplane and the earthquakes are very similar. So the airplane, she knows the kid. We see the flashback of the kid dragging the airplane across the desert. She's in the desert, and she even mentions to the bus driver, "Did you see that plane?" He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." One, he's a program, so he doesn't see shit. At least I assume that.
He's unreal.
Because we know the kids
Okay.
are fake programs, so I assume all the models they have that are modeling all their clothes. That guy, some of the maybe even the security might have been.
I assume he was because he was like, I can't go past this point. It was like
I literally
kind of
can't.
stuck by
it was like
there's
an
an invisible
NPC.
wall.
It was like an NPC.
Right,
I can only go this far.
That's what I got. So the airplane was another glitch in her head of her sort of coming out of it, and she was close to the edge of the real world for them. So I assume, again,
I would have
they're trying to use these lofty metaphors, but they don't.
But remember
So
how she kept, remember how she kept going in and out of like she would see something like she'd be like, oh my god, I remember something. Or I would have loved it if like one day she was just walking down the street, she saw a plane in the air, and then that's where her brain got it from. Because to me, I would just like, where'd the plane come from? Of all things for her to see, like see the child, I guess, or see like
Like
see
there's no
Margaret
build
or
up,
something.
right?
Like there's no. I was like, what are we this is just to lead her to this building. I was like, there could have been a smarter, less lazy writing way to get her there than that.
The plane even kind of did this like weird little whoop thing.
Yeah,
like
it did like this flicker thing,
Yeah.
and I was like, I was like, so is she seeing it or is she not seeing it? Like, what are we doing? Somebody explain it, because.
Anyway, so
Okay.
Maria, what did you think of Don't Worry, Darling right off the bat? This was your first, second, third time watching it?
So I didn't watch it until it was like streamable. So I kind of basically had heard what the like the reveal was. So like watching it, I was definitely like less critical because I think like all the the drama and everything it got like terrible reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, right? Like it got really bad reviews and things. So I don't think it was as bad, but like then rewatching it, I'm like, no, it's not that great. Because I remember watching it and being like, I'm left with a lot more questions than I did while I was watching it. And it's stuff like the eggs, the airplane. Also just like the whole, where does she go from here? Because like, she just like they're all chasing her. She goes back and it's like, okay, well now I want to see the chase scene of her finding and like exposing
You mean where
the
she's
simulation.
completely dehydrated, can't use her legs,
Yeah.
has to try to get away.
And these people are like, they're
And
gonna
we know
come
she,
kill her.
and we know she ain't got no job. We
Right.
know she ain't got no
Oh
job.
yeah,
How long have they been in there?
this thing?
Exactly.
Yeah, the hospital will definitely have fired her by now. By accident. Also, I'm really surprised that the hospital didn't check in on her. Like that's just like
Where's the
like,
wellness
yeah,
check
yeah,
you would
where's
expect
the
for a
wellness
doctor?
person,
Right, she ain't got no friends at the
You're
hospital that go
telling me-
check in and make sure she good.
you're telling me a surgeon that does 12 cases a day didn't get any checkup? Like no one was like,
She's
oh,
doing a
where did she
30-hour
go?
day.
Right.
30.
And like,
Or remember,
Yeah, a surgeon of all things.
remember, he said that he has to leave every now and again to
Right.
go make money.
Yeah.
So maybe he's the cover story.
Well, yeah,
for
he's
her.
probably
Maybe he's
working
like,
at home on
well,
the
she's
computer.
doing some stuff.
She
for,
still
you
had
know,
a
yeah.
when
surgery
people-
job, guys. She still was a surgeon.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
But he could have easily been like, she's done. She's not working here no more.
Right.
And they're not gonna question it. They're not gonna be like,
True.
She's
Yeah.
sick.
You
What are
know,
those
so-
things on her eyes? Oh, they're helping her. It's no big deal.
they're helping her. That's hilarious.
Honestly, the second half would have been the more interesting part. Like, I think watching her dehydrated, trying to like debunk this like incel
Yeah.
like cult on the internet thing would have been
Yeah.
the more interesting story.
that would
So like when
Yeah.
the movie ended, I'm just like, this is where it begins.
Right.
So I was a little frustrated with that. I also just didn't really like. I can't help but feel like this was like Get Out, but like from another narrative, and
It has
it
been
was like-
compared. It has been compared to Get Out.
yeah. And like
The
I
critics
know that it
have
has
compared
like
to
the
Get Out.
Stepford vibes, like
Oh,
Stepford
it's the Stepford Wives movie. Just kind
They've
of
been
Yeah.
compared to that.
redone.
It's been compared to that as
Yeah.
well.
It's kind of like the same story, but with more confusion. And it's like,
Yeah.
I guess it was a twist that like Harry Styles
This
was.
summer, The Matrix
unattractive
meets
guy.
Stepford Wives.
No, that's what I said
Right.
in my letterbox. In my letterbox review, I said if the Stepford Wives and the Matrix had a baby, it'll be Don't Worry, Darling.
Yeah.
That's what it'll be.
I almost feel like the drama outsold the movie. I think if it didn't have it, the movie would have been a little better. But at the same time,
Nope. I'm sorry.
It wasn't that great.
I'm sorry. That just
It
came
was
out.
very
I
well
apologize.
done. Like it was pretty. It was
Mhm,
very
beautiful.
pretty.
Right.
Beautiful.
Very well done. It's just the story was
Mhm.
really weak. It was like a very weak story.
Law, what was
Mhm.
your impression? We kind of already started, but I would love to hear
Yeah.
your initial impressions. Was this your first viewing? Was this?
This is my first viewing. All these movies. I've never seen any of these movies. This is my first viewing, and it will be my last. Aesthetically, this film is beautiful. The colors, I always love like a 40s, 50s type of like look, the look that they show us, because I wasn't born there. I don't know if it's real or not, but I think it's beautiful. The colors, like the hair, like everything was like amazing. Just like the idyllic, like we all very Pleasantville, but with color, and it was very nice.
Mhm.
And beautiful. After a while, okay. I really would love. This is no offense to Harry Styles, no offense, because he's out there, he's singing his ditties and he's making his movies, and it's
He's
not
tap
bad.
dancing.
You know what I mean?
You know, like,
Which to me, that
which
scene,
that,
I was
oh my
like,
god, I know.
that
Yeah.
was
Why
the
is
most
this
degrading
happening?
scene of all time, because I really felt like that was
Like, what?
happening. I felt like Chris Pine's character was punishing him for the wife.
Yeah.
That's what I think that was. But
yeah.
that was just my view on it. He was punishing him because he was just like,
He's like
yeah,
a
take off the
puppet.
jacket,
It
dance
just was
for your
weird
dance for
with
your
her-
dinner,
Yeah.
Yeah,
dance
it
for
was
your food. Like
positioned
that's
with the her breakdown.
right.
thing.
That's
Like,
how
it
I
was-
felt about it. But no offense to Harry Styles, but I would have really loved to see what Shia LaBeouf would have did
Yeah, I was just
with
thinking
this-
that too. Watching
with
that,
this
I'm like,
role.
man.
The whole time I was watching it, I was like, he would get angry at certain points, or he'll be soft at certain points, and I'd be like, "Oh,
True.
this would have dripped way better with
Yeah,
Shia." And I was like, "No
for
offense,
sure.
I understand he has his
Because
own thing,
Florence
but
definitely carried this movie.
She
Oh,
could
yeah,
listen.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Listen,
tried
as
her
much as
damn.
as much as I love Florence, I need directors when she does this yell that she does, like when she's in pain. That
With
is,
that
I was like,
Yeah.
that like she's like
I
the
was just
scream
that,
thing
yeah.
that she does. I'm the opposite. I kind of don't like it because it's
Oh, wow.
it's so Florence that when I first saw her do it in Midsummer and she was like screaming like that, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's so great. And then when she did it in this one, I was like, this is a different character.
This is why she's a modern day movie star.
I would hope, no, literally. I
But
was
wait,
like, I
she's
would
in the
hope that they
MCU,
would.
so I'm not sure if she's a movie star.
Nah, it's
Okay.
you never know.
Yeah.
But like, I just kind of like wanted, and I know it's like this, like I'm pulling at strings here or whatever, but like, I just kind of wanted a different yell from her, like a different tone, because it's like, you're a different character, but I get it. That's just Florence. Like that's how she yells. And like,
Right.
I'll
she had
get used
to direct
to it.
herself. She had to direct herself.
No, like
No,
literally.
considering, yeah.
Yeah.
And like
so,
literally,
yeah.
but like initially this film was okay. It wasn't like the greatest
Right.
thing. Again, the biggest hype about this film was the controversy, and the controversy I didn't even care that much because you didn't really get anything out of what actually happened or what actually went on. I will say this though, if you're gonna direct a movie, don't put yourself in it.
Sometimes.
And what bugs me about
I mean,
this too
Braveheart.
is like, yeah.
But look how Braveheart
That's
turned
different,
out
yeah.
though.
No, it's
that
not.
worked
Yeah.
out.
Braveheart was amazing.
Dances with
Yeah.
Wolves.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I don't know. There's
I'm
some
just saying,
exceptions.
but I'm just saying though, if it works out,
Yeah.
Well, those
Yeah,
two
To
actors had
me-
a long history of acting before they did it. And while she
Exactly.
does, she had no history of direct. Well, neither did Mel.
And it wasn't the
That's
first
not
thing
really
that Mel Gibson
No,
directed.
but I'm just
Booksmart
saying
is so
though.
different compared to this one.
No,
Like,
compared to
Booksmart
this,
was
right.
great. Yeah, and I love Booksmart.
And again, she
Yeah.
didn't put
Yeah.
herself in.
Yeah, exactly.
Booksmart.
She was
Right.
focused
Yeah.
on directing.
She was focused on
Exactly.
directing. She was
Mhm.
focused on her actors, and I feel like when you split your time like that, and I'm not saying it can't be done because obviously it has been done. Or I've seen it be done before. But I'm just saying though, this film, I feel like it would have went more if she wasn't in the scene. And okay, this is one thing that irked me, and I will let other people speak. There's a line that Chris Pine's character says. He goes, "I've been waiting for somebody to challenge me," right?
Yeah.
I was so annoyed because one, this film was lacking representation in my book. And then
I was thinking that too.
I have a lot to say. I
was like, geez Louise, for one. And then two, the one black character you did have did challenge him first,
Oh yeah.
and you murked her. And you made her
Yeah.
think like she's crazy, and you killed her off to highlight Florence's character, which I had no problem with that. But what we could have did, what I really would have really liked, if Kiki Lane's character would have switched with Olivia Wilde's character, and Olivia Wilde's character would have died, and then Kiki's character could have been the one that was like, I want to be here with
I
my
wanna
kids.
be
and
here.
stuff, I was so annoyed with that because why do they always kill a black character to help another character realize the truth? I'm tired of
No,
it.
there is an
That's
element.
fine.
There is an
This is
element in
what
this
annoys
That could have
film.
played on a whole other theme too.
And like this is why
Yeah.
the story's
With
so
her,
weak
yeah.
because it just like falls into these tropes. Like they could have done it better. There was like so much closer to making it stronger. Like it just like you made a trope of like killing the woman of color, her being the voice of reason,
Mhm.
and then being the martyr for like the woman's like white woman savior. Also like Olivia Wilde's character knowing they're in a simulation, it just gave me like, okay, you're just like benefiting off the patriarchy, so you're like representing that character. And it's like, oh, like, we don't have that character over and over again. Like in every like I was just like, I think this movie tried to be different, but it really wasn't.
It
was like
really wasn't.
literally
And
the same movie over and over
and
again.
I don't know why I had high hopes for Olivia Wilde because I feel like
I did
think
not,
me-
but okay.
I think, no. I meant like I mean, not so much as like a writer director type of thing, but I meant like I had high hopes for her and just like in the camaraderie of like a set. Because like
Right.
I've seen her do things, I've seen her be a part of things, she spoke out about things, and then you're finally in a position where you can change some stuff and you do the exact same stuff that has been perpetuated. I was just like, ew, what?
And what I hated about that is that she really thought she did something. And like
Oh,
this is when
yeah.
I got into the drama. It was like she's just like, we're really just like, debunking the patriarchy and it's all about women's pleasure. And I'm just like, homie, do you not watch your own movie? She's literally kidnapped and strapped in a bed. It's not about consensual like anything. It's just
no, it's not.
No,
It's
and
not.
the incel portion of this movie was the part that I found the most interesting that they completely dropped. Maria, you were kind of alluding to that earlier. They could have spent a lot more time explaining why that's so terrible instead of just a little montage kind of basically.
It was like the last half hour of the movie.
Right, and they kind of just quickly go, look, he's scummy.
And it was like out of nowhere too. It was
Right.
like, oh,
But
now
this
we're
is
in
my
the
question.
hospital.
Can somebody answer this for me? This is my question. This is what I was confused about. were they previously in a relationship already, or was he a scumbag that was
No,
obsessed
they
with
were
her and he just
previously in a
kidnapped
No, they're in
her?
a
He
relationship.
was,
They were
But
in a
that
not
does
everyone-
allude.
but not
That alludes to the
not
fact that
everyone in-
that company will let you kidnap somebody and take them
because
there.
there is
Totally,
a couple.
yeah.
There's a theory that there is a couple that like he just kidnapped her, like that new couple that was introduced.
That feels like
Mhm.
it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's
Oh.
like this theory that like, 'cause,
Okay.
like she was like super bewildered and like kind of
Right.
scared at the end.
So,
So,
did
like,
he
there's this-
get? So did he get cleaned up and then he got into a relationship
No,
with her?
that's
No,
that's,
they were just in a relationship, and he decided to do this
It's-
to her.
He was
it's
just a fragile
essentially-
man in a
Oh.
relationship
Yeah.
with a strong woman,
Right.
and
Because
he
she
couldn't
doesn't-
handle it. So
because she doesn't remember him looking like that. Because when he's at the computer, he's like cleaned
This
up a
is
little
where this
bit.
movie
Like,
will
that
fall
was-
apart. She doesn't remember
is
that
where it
she
gets
had
confusing.
12 years of being a surgeon and medical
Yeah.
school and all these things. They even bring up
Exactly.
like
Right.
like stitches and things. She doesn't remember shit,
Yeah.
which really bothered me. I'm just
You're
like,
like, what's
that
going
didn't
on?
trigger you, but this fucking song triggered you? What are you
Okay.
talking about?
Yeah, because
I
I
had
saw that
problems with
song.
that.
Listen, the moment it was crazy, the moment she started humming that song, I was like, she's in
Yeah.
a simulation.
Yeah.
I mean, but
And
I
he's
wasn't
humming that
sure.
song too.
But I
Yeah.
wasn't sure at first. I was like, okay, I'm not sure. But I was like, she's in a simulation because like this is something she pulled from the outside. Because if you really go through it, there ain't no music that's been played in there really. Like
No,
they
the
didn't put
radio
on
and
no
the TV
albums.
is all Chris Pine.
Right. That's
Yeah.
and then it's
Yeah,
all
there's
Chris
no,
Pine, so you don't really hear
actual
anything
music. Like
But
yeah.
is
until they're
that
at the little
And I'm assuming that
gala
that's like
or whatever.
that's like the hypnosis that he's doing, like the Chris Pine voice that you hear whenever she's like cleaning and stuff. That's like
Yeah.
part of the
Right.
simulation to
Yeah,
get her
it
into the
has to
trance.
be.
Right.
The get
Because
out
she
of
said it- because she
verification
said
of
it like she
Florence
was like
Pugh.
he's in my head, and it's because
Mhm.
you could hear him probably on that computer that's in
It's
your
diegetic. That's what it
room
is.
somewhere. Yeah,
It would have been so much if Kiki Lang had like that her story into it. It would have been so much stronger too. Like, it
Yeah,
would have
now
been
I'm,
this
like, really
extra
thinking about that.
layer. And I wish they would have shown Kiki Lane's like kind of like derailment because then they could have gotten into the whole fact that they knew it was a simulation early on and really get into the crux. Because like, so I don't know if you guys know this, but the original script that they like kind of piggybacked off the script with was like them knowing that it was a simulation like within the half hour and then debunking it like for the rest
Yeah.
of it. And I
heard
really
about
wish they
that
would have
too,
done that because
yeah.
it would have been like
that'd have been
a new
great.
twist of everything.
Rather than
just
that
wording.
same
Yeah, and the rest of the film
tropes.
they would have worked on like okay, let's
Yeah.
And
get out of this,
especially with
like-
the incel culture, I think that would have been such a strong, like more political commentary. It would have been actually something different. It would have been something Olivia Wilde could speak on because nothing against Olivia Wilde, but I don't think she can really speak on this as much as she thinks she can.
no.
So
Now,
Yeah.
I mean,
the
that was
second
this
time
film.
around,
Lord have mercy.
yeah.
this was my second viewing as well. I watched it like 3 weeks ago, so I don't know why I decided to go ahead and rewatch it again. Other than
Mm,
I
damn.
was like, I really wanted to rewatch it, but I found some things that Olivia was trying to put in there, or at least the screenwriter was trying to put in there. But you know, they're almost blatant in some ways, and then not in others. But this is basically Alice in Wonderland in a lot of ways. Her name is Alice. If you look at the twins that offer her a drink at the beginning, they're dressed just like
Mhm.
Tweedledee
There,
and Tweedledum.
yeah.
That's what it done. Yeah.
All the security are dressed in red outfits,
Tyler.
just like
Yeah.
all the cards that work for the queen. There's even like the part where she gets squished by the glass is almost like Alice when she grows too big for the house. Like there's
Oh
a
my
lot of little Alice
So
in
what you're
Wonderland
saying
tropes.
is this isn't original at all.
No, not at all. But it was
Tell me, please
too
say what you think.
it was almost
an
watching it the second
amalgamation of
time
a
I was
lot
like,
of
wow, I'm
stuff.
picking up on all of these and you can see them through the whole film and they're not hidden as well as maybe
No
they
wonder I
should
found
be.
it so
I don't know.
scummy. Okay.
I don't know.
But that was my whole thing. I was like, these two twins come to you and be like, you want a drink? And you don't think you're in a simulation? Okay.
The radio
Okay.
and the TV alone, I'm like, you don't think that
All
there's like, you're not going to hear Dock of the Bay or something? Like, what? They wouldn't get rid of the
Yeah.
music. You
But
would
listen
still,
though, Harry Styles,
some
his
movies, I
character,
don't
he
know.
ruined that for himself. The moment he touched her on that bottom lip, I was like, it's over. The
Oh,
moment
man, I
she was
know.
like,
Like,
the moment she
triggered.
was like, I was
Completely.
like, it's over. I was like, you done triggered, sis.
Mhm.
Like she loved you so much that you were her trigger. You were the one that knocked her out of this world. Like you, and then for that lady and for Kiki's character, her kid, the moment you snatched her kid, you removed the illusion
Yeah.
from her. Like I was just
Mhm.
the whole time I was thinking about how I could better make us a more better simulated world. I was like, I could be a villain. The whole time I was like, I could be a villain. I could
Do you
fix
think
this.
the airplane was Kiki's character trying to warn Florence or Alice?
How so?
I don't
I
know.
just
I
don't know
don't
how she'd
understand
be
how
able
it
to do
worked,
that.
but it would.
Like, yeah.
It
So-
feels like a warning.
Yeah. That's sweet.
Telekinesis
know.
is happening in
Because I mean,
between.
because
They're
like
both
it's a thing
asleep.
where
She's over at her
she-
house. I don't know.
True.
But it was
true.
here's the thing. This is another thing I didn't like. Is she's just like she was my friend. Where?
Right.
Yeah,
Don't be the-
Yes.
Don't be the scene where y'all high-fived each other once. Like, what
just
are
the
we talking about?
The
And it was just
exposition kept expositioning.
Is the
literally
pregnant woman
happened.
forever pregnant in this simulation?
I think I feel like she's
I was
forever
wondering
pregnant.
about
Yeah, she's like, I know.
Because
Either
Olivia
have a
Wilde's
baby or
character
don't.
says, like, you know, the one that's always pregnant, the one that's forever pregnant. She
says
says
it
something
like
like that
that,
about
yeah.
her.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So my wife
I would
did
think
catch
so.
Olivia looking at the camera 3 times in this movie.
Oh, that's sad.
Nice.
That's
She needs to make sure
I
that
think
the
so.
movie's working out.
I mean, if you're the
Yeah.
director, you're going to want to look at the
Purpose or-
camera, so you got to separate the two. That's tricky.
But that's why you shouldn't have been in your
Which makes no
own
sense because
movie.
she's a freaking actress first and foremost.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
she
first
knows
and
how to select the
foremost.
camera.
But like, do you think that
Exactly.
was her trying to be smart by being like, oh, I know? Because
She's
I
like-
feel like she also tried to like overdo her own like subtle nods and hints about like it's like just this random. I really think that like she just wanted mystery to be added to this movie without it going anywhere.
And
That's
you
why
know
there's
what?
a plane.
It could have been,
eggs.
but I really
Yeah,
would have
and her
preferred.
adding
I
all
really
those, like,
preferred if
little-
she.
Artistic moments too, like trying to
would've
There's a
do.
preferred
lot
if
of
she
lens
just
flare in this
died.
movie. Sorry, go ahead, Lala.
She should have just died. She should have just died. Her character, I mean, not in real life. You know, I don't wish death on nobody. But like her character should have died. Like her and Olivia Wilde and Kiki Lane's character should have switched. Kiki Lane should have been Bunny, and she should have been like Margaret or whatever, and then she should have been the one that opened up the floodgates and died. That way, she could have focused on being a freaking director and
Well, we
not try to
should've-
be wearing 2 hats and not know
Yeah.
how to switch them
Well,
off.
she's also
And-
getting
We should
together
get
with
more
Harry
Chris
the whole
Pine.
time, so
Yeah, and then
That's
on top of
cool.
that,
But it's
and then
like, ew.
on top of that, Kiki Lane said that her like lines or like I think her scenes were cut too.
A lot of her scenes were
that.
cut.
Oh.
Yep. Her
So,
and
like,
the guy that she's dating now, like the guy that played her husband in the thing, they met on set. They're dating now in real life. A lot of their
Oh,
scenes
they're
got
like,
cut.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot
Which
of their
came out
scenes got
after all the other drama. So
Yeah,
like,
you had 2
just-
hours and you still didn't do anything with it. I don't understand.
yeah, but this movie
Imagine
would have
the
been 3
extra
hours
story.
had they added all that back in, and I would have been just as miserable after 3 hours.
Right, true.
we would have
Oh,
been just as confused and
How do
still
you
had
guys-
all these questions.
How do you guys feel about okay, there's one element at the very end that I hated. I just like, why did you do that?
when she
Gemma
gasped.
Chan's
sorry.
character's like, now it's my turn. I'm
Oh,
like,
I
what do
know.
you mean? What do you
Like,
mean?
So it makes me wonder:
Where's
is she
that going?
real
Yeah,
and
like-
he's a simulation? Is he just a
Yeah.
I'm
computer
a-
program?
No,
I don't know.
I feel like they're both real, and I felt like she wants to take over.
Like they're
Vic-
partners.
But
Yeah,
it's so
I feel like-
confusing because like
because
they
her
didn't
Isn't
voice
say
he
is
dead
on
in
the-
real life now?
because,
she
yeah,
just killed
because
Yeah,
her
him?
she
voice-
kills him. Yeah.
her voice
Like,
is on the
what?
thing too. Like when he's talking, you can hear his voice. Her
Yeah,
voice is
her
on
voice
a
is
on a
on, like,
thing
other
too. So I
parts.
feel like
Yeah.
they're in this together.
She's also teaching
So-
them the
Right.
ballet and how to have composure and look like a lady and
Mhm.
all of
Control
that.
Control and-
that's
yeah.
really confusing because like in the scene prior to that, because she's sticking up for him
Yeah.
and telling like Florence, you're like the small girl that like just wants drama.
Mhm.
And then it shows that as soon as Florence like breaks the fourth wall, everyone knows, and that's when like Gemma changes. It's really confusing where she stands with all of this too.
No, I
Why
get
were the
that.
light poles
Yeah.
exploding?
I didn't understand
that's a
that
good
either.
question.
I
didn't
feel,
get that
the
either.
light poles were like, oh, plot's happening.
I feel like the simulation was breaking down at that point, so stuff was just going haywire.
Right. Okay.
So-
Yeah.
Also, I don't understand where like if Olivia Wilde's character is the one that picked the simulation, where does Nick Kroll fall into all of this?
No, I think
Like, where
he's
was that
also
going?
a
I was thinking that
robot.
too. I'm like,
He's
what is-
I
digital.
think he's an
Is he
NPC.
fake
I
too?
think he's
Yeah,
an
him and the
because
kids.
But he like
Because-
started attacking Florence as soon as she.
Yeah,
did the
I think
time.
that's
He's
Yeah.
been programmed to keep
yeah, I
her
think that's a part of
simulated.
his. I think that's a part of his program.
So
Yeah, that's a
big.
part of his program.
Yeah.
And those dudes in red are like antivirus, like firewalls. And
You know,
it's
yeah,
like,
if
you
you
think
can
about
just
Kroll's
corrupt
character,
Data out of here.
Kroll actually defends Pine's character.
Oh, yeah.
Adamantly. He's like, you don't know anything
Yeah.
about him.
Oh yeah.
You
no.
shut up
he's-
right
he's-
now.
Yeah,
With
he's
the whole
mad
thing.
about
Which
it.
makes
He's
sense
mad
for a
about it.
cult leader. Like, it
See,
does
the
make
reason
sense.
why I hate this is I know that like film bros and people are gonna be like, you just didn't notice the subtleties. I'm like, okay, you can be subtle, but you're not executing it correctly. Like
Yeah.
it's not. It doesn't matter if you're subtle or
It
not.
doesn't matter.
It,
because-
literally,
yeah,
it really didn't lead
because
to
there's no
anything.
reason for it. Like
Yeah.
Too much subtlety leads to sleep. I'm just saying.
Also, and again, I'm not trying to totally tear this film apart because there are some good parts, but the
Why
lens flare
not?
drives
Let's
me nuts.
do it.
All right. So there's an amateurness, not that I'm a filmmaker, I'm just being a critic, but whatever. There's an amateur nature to Olivia using a lot, she's trying to use these eyeball metaphors, which I did love the dancers and how they almost look like an eyeball or an iris.
That was cool.
So I
Yeah.
like that. But then everything with the like rewinding film all the time, like that's, you better have a reason to just rewind the film. It doesn't make me feel like, oh, it doesn't do that for me. It always
You
pulls
didn't
me
like
out.
you didn't like
it was
the
it was
car
the ink
chase?
blot test for me. It wasn't just the
Yeah.
eye. It was like the Rorschach test in
Rorschach
between.
test, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in between. Like what?
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
And for
little
me, it's
things
like-
like that.
Gemma Chan's character for me, I felt like I don't know if she's real or simulation, however it is, or maybe she just like maybe now I could be like my own person. Like I have my own autonomy now. When she killed him, like I could be whatever I need to be. But like her character was actually like inceptioning them like during the ballet. Because like some of her words were like, we are one. Everything is great when you're feeling good, when you're happy. Happiness is the thing. And she was like, she kept hitting the thing on the ground. So I think she was like indoctrinating him doing these things too.
She could have been part of it. I think
she was part of it too. Yeah, I think she was like part of it too. Cause like she was kind of like reinforcing his already brainwashing.
Because the only other person that was reinforcing was Olivia Wilde's character. Because I remember like at the party, they had mentioned like I think Chris Pine had said something like, "What are we doing?" And she's just like changing the world. And he picked like Olivia Wilde to say it. So it could
and
be
every
like
time they're together,
yeah,
too,
maybe
it's just the wives. She's always like reinforcing, like
she's very
tells them not to talk
like,
about it. Don't ask questions. All those things. Yeah,
she's like the queen bee for a reason. I assume like she's like the queen bee for a reason. So she was.
So she's the red.
So I guess like her and Gemma both know they're in a situation.
Just saying. I'm telling you, this is just Alice in Wonderland with a.
It is.
No, it really is.
You know what? And I'm sad. I'm gonna say this, but I prefer the Tim Burton one. So I'm just.
I prefer the Matrix version of Alice in Wonderland, but that's just me.
I prefer like Malcolm and Marie. Like,
so why don't we go ahead and rate this film? We are just about at our 2-hour mark, and I know it's getting late there on the East Coast for the couple of you that are over there.
Turn up.
Although it's not as late as it would have been.
You feel me?
With the change. So why don't we go
to my East Coasters? You go first, Nitty.
I'll go first. Okay. What did I rate this on Letterboxd? It wasn't high, I'll tell you. I will tell you exactly what I rated on Letterboxd because I was really rude about this movie on Letterboxd. And I'm not usually. I like to be honest, but I don't like to just eviscerate films because that's a lot of hard work put into films most of the time. And so let's see here. What did I rate?
They should have thought about that.
They should have thought about it ahead of time. See, when did I watch this? It wasn't that long ago. Wow, was it that long ago? Holy crap. Okay, there we go. Too much hype was the first thing I said. I gave this a 2 out of 5, so this is a 4 for me, which is extremely low. I don't normally rate things this low.
They got 38% on Rotten Tomatoes, if that matters.
Yeah, it got really low.
Metacritic was low.
I do think Florence and Harry were great together. I liked their part of the film. I enjoyed the acting between them, their relationship. I could see them acting in another film together and doing a great job. So I will give them credit.
Okay.
I still think Olivia Wilde's directing, I don't see her making a huge impact as a director yet. She needs to learn a few more things and maybe get together with a different screenwriter.
I think if she stuck to her lane, she would have done better. If she did another Booksmart
Booksmart was great.
So,
like she just bit off too much for this one.
Totally, yeah.
I did admit I would watch this again, mostly just to see if I could figure out why there were plot holes. And seeing it again, I could not figure out why there were plot holes. Yeah. They just were there.
Yeah.
So 4 out of 10. How about
like
you?
A colander of plot holes.
Right, and big, like potato size, where you really, not noodle size. La, what did you rate? Don't worry, darling.
I give this a 5 only because Chris Pine is fine as fuck. So it went up a point because of Chris Pine he was looking good and everything. Like the hair was slicked back, the little suits he was in. I kind of like a menacing Chris Pine because he's always like this like goofy, lovable type of, I'm suave, but I trip over stuff type of, characters he plays. And to this, he was a little bit more like calm and menacing and like, so I'll give it a 5. I ain't rewatching this. We good on this. We good on this. What I will watch though is behind the scenes stuff. I would love to watch behind the scenes.
Yeah, that has to be the movie.
I want to see that documentary, right?
I want to see the behind the scenes stuff. Other than that, I ain't watching this movie again. Good luck to Olivia Wilde and stuff. But
right.
How about you, Tyler?
Orange Juice gonna be fine.
I also give it a 5. I don't think I think Olivia Wilde should keep going. I don't think this was very strong for her.
No, for sure.
Chris Pine, he always comes in. He's like, I'm not gonna be bad. Like,
I'll hold my part.
Nope.
Y'all do your thing.
Honestly, that's him and Florence. Him and Florence are both like, well, we gonna do our job. I don't know what y'all working in the editing bay or how y'all would have. But
they did as much as they could with like the material they were given.
I was gonna give it a 6, but I just one part, really, just one. Which one? It's the car scene, and they're driving. They're like, get her. They're driving towards each other, and then she just breaks. And
then they slam into each other, even though they weren't turning at the time.
I was like, Olivia, you only have 10 more minutes. What the hell is this?
Yeah, that was bad.
Okay.
agree.
And there's like all this space too of like desert. There's like you couldn't
Oh my
turn.
gosh.
Like there's
Oh
nothing
my
but desert.
Nope, they had to have a cinematically action moment in the movie. It had to happen.
Yeah.
The one thing was like a narrow
nowhere.
canyon or something.
Right.
but-
How about you,
Yeah.
Brian?
Exploding lamppost.
Right.
I give this a 6 just because Matthew Libatique, bumps it up for me. There's like one really awesome shot I love. Or I don't know why, I just love it. But there's that silver V in the town or whatever, like near the end of
Oh,
where
yeah,
the
yeah,
headquarters
yeah.
is,
Mhm.
and they like are like tracking the cars and everything,
Oh,
and then
yeah,
make that
that's what I'm
turn and they
about.
like roll up on and they like stop with the
Yeah.
V in the foreground as
Okay.
they're going in the
Mhm.
background. That's
Mhm.
just a great little shot. But
Mm.
yeah, just it's a gorgeous film. But if that's like the strongest thing, then it's not. a great film.
That's
So,
funny. I know you didn't mean that to be funny, but it made me chuckle.
Yeah.
I think it was fun.
So, thank you.
Maria.
Yeah. I like the scene where she's in the tub and she goes down, but her reflection turns.
And then the production, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good
Yeah,
one.
I like that part.
Yeah.
That was nice.
So Maria, we're going to end with
Aesthetics.
you since you are our
Yeah,
guest.
I guess,
and
like,
you started it off tonight.
I'm gonna say 5.5 because of like scenes like that with the whole because I like the ominous, spooky, like something's about to happen. I just hate that nothing happened with this.
Yeah.
I was like waiting for something to happen. I'm like,
You were waiting for a
what?
jump scare, you never got it. You're like,
Yeah, like especially with the whole mirror thing.
There's
like,
always
who
little
was that?
potential things.
yeah,
like,
for sure. It was
had
like they
so
were
much
almost
potential.
there, but they
Yeah.
were like,
Mhm.
let's we're gonna pull back a little bit.
Let's end the movie right when it started.
No,
Like,
yeah,
it just
yeah.
it wasn't.
There's the
It's really
simulation.
because of the performances. Chris Pine did a great job. Gemma Chan did a great job, and Florence Pugh carried it. I
Mhm.
feel indifferent with Harry Styles' acting. I do think that it might have been a lot better with Shia LaBeouf, just because
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
it
I agree.
I think
matched
so too.
Florence's energy.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought so. I
Yeah.
think so too.
yeah.
It'd
That
be nice
being
to
said,
see
I
him
do
clean
think,
up. That would have been nice
yeah.
because he's been bearded up for
Yeah.
a while. So he would've
Yeah,
had
for
to-
yeah.
sure.
He would have
Yeah,
had to
He
clean
would.
up
I
for-
just know, like, it's just some stuff
man.
he
Mhm.
would have like murdered this role
Yeah,
in the best way
for sure.
possible. I just know he would have like.
Yeah, even the
Mhm.
fuck in the car when they take her away probably
Yeah.
would have been
Oh,
a little stronger. It
I
would've been
always
a little
see
stronger.
Shia in that too. I'm like,
I
oh
thought
my god.
no.
even-
The moment
You know
he
what I
did
think?
that, I was like, Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
It's the tap dancing scene for me. It's the tap dancing scene where I think he would have killed it because it's like with like Law said, I think that was like a humiliation scene, but it doesn't translate well because
Yeah.
of like how it's done.
'Cause
And
you
I
got a
think Shia would have
performer
been able to
performing it.
embody. Mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
Because he
Harry's
danced
actually
against it. I
Right.
need Harry
I'm
to
a
like.
thing,
I
but
need
yeah.
Harry to have it on his face that like this is humiliating. That he does.
Yeah,
does
but
not
he
want to
didn't
do
have
this.
that at all.
No.
He didn't have that. He just had like doing it for the boss.
Yeah.
Right.
Very confused.
A little tired,
Shia would
sweaty,
embody
maybe.
that.
You know,
Yeah.
but he wasn't like. He wasn't. He played it better in the car when she got snatched out than he did on stage with the whole dancing and looking
Yeah.
like that. Like, but again, he was like up and down. He was a roller coaster of an actor for me throughout this. I was like,
For sure.
and maybe it was because he didn't know what to do. The direction wasn't there, but it was just, I just felt like because he's so new to this, somebody as seasoned as Shia would have been like, I got it. Don't worry about it. I read the script. I know how the character
And
is.
like I think
You know?
I think he got lucky because like the plot itself was so weak, the story was so weak that I was just like very indifferent towards Harry's performance. I was like,
I know.
the whole
Yeah.
story's been up and down. His
Right,
performance
right.
can be up and down.
Yeah.
Had like
The whole
Shia
accent
done it, I
thing
would have been
threw
like,
me off too. Like
yeah.
the first time I watched, I'm like, wait, is he supposed to have it? Because he had a British accent in
Oh,
the
yeah.
simulation. Like,
That's
I wonder if they like
He
added
chose
that later.
Right? Yeah.
But
They
yeah, the
said
thing
he
was,
chose
like,
it.
Which is so
Was that in the
hilarious. Like, you
script
can
the whole
just choose
time?
It
your
was
Is that-
accent.
okay. I thought
I
I
think
was
they
crazy
added
about
it
that
to make
because
it
I was
easy on
like,
him.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
because I know Florence is using an American accent, and I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it felt like he was going in between like a British and an American, like maybe like a transatlantic type thing. And I was
Yeah.
like, but if she's known me since Jump, like my voice shouldn't change.
Why
If
was
they
it-
can make
yeah,
her
That
forget she's a
alone-
doctor, they can make her forget her boyfriend didn't have a British accent.
But that's-
Yeah.
for surgery practicing.
But to
you
me,
know.
to me, that's still kind of crazy in the sense of the story, because it's like, if you've known me, you know that you, and I understand that they condition her and all this kind of stuff, but like there's no reason for him to change his accent. There's no reason.
Yeah.
Except he always wanted to be British and
Yeah,
an
he just wanted to
incel.
be British.
apparently,
I'm telling
know.
you,
He was a
if
really
you-
big
if
James
you-
Bond fan. You see the size of that From Russia with Love poster?
Oh, he hates tuna. He hates tuna. Oh.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I swear, if they would have made her any other profession, it would have been a little bit stronger. Because like the fact that they're
Yeah.
telling me that they forgot she spent 8 years of surgery practicing and 4 years of medical school and like
And
whatever years of practicing.
she yelled it out, and she yelled it out like,
20
"I love working. I
Yeah.
love my job." And they
15
made you
years of
forget it.
surgery training.
in
You could forget
2.5
from one
seconds.
simulation.
See, now I want to
Okay.
watch her wake
Yeah.
up and do surgery on her own legs to get the fuck away.
Yes.
Like, I really want to see that now.
But see, here's the thing,
Yeah, and then
though.
turns into like a
Here's the
John
thing,
Wick
though.
movie.
Right?
What Maria,
Florence
what-
Pugh.
That's the movie.
I want to see
what
that
Maria said, what
Yeah.
Maria said is honestly very true. If this
Yeah.
would have taken, if part of this would have taken place halfway in, and we
Yeah.
could have got to the
No,
rest of the movie,
totally.
it would have
Well,
made
then
sense that if
gotta
like she
shut
woke up
things down.
dehydrated, she knew what to do, she knew how to take care of herself because she's a
Mhm.
doctor, so she would know these things. And most of the time, doctors have things in their house. I'm not saying that she would have a
Yeah.
Celine bag.
No,
in there,
but she would have
she'll-
something.
She would though.
She'd
She
know
would
how to
have
make
stuff in her
that, you know,
house.
exactly.
No,
She
I
would
can
have some-
speak from that.
oh, man.
Yeah.
We do have saline patches, like
Yeah.
bags in
Okay,
her
so
house,
we
and
need
she
to
would
make the
have had that.
sequel. Don't
Okay, she would have
worry,
it.
darlings.
Yes.
Also, wouldn't
Tyler
she be
and
like,
Brian, get
wouldn't she
on
be like
it.
parched in the simulation too? Wouldn't she be like,
Do you
Oh,
remember
man,
the
I'm
little like
always
cloth that
Why is
She's
she
little cloth?
always in the pool,
I think
right?
he-
Just like, oh,
I
I
think
gotta
he
be
gave
warm.
that.
Yeah.
cloth that it was
That's why she
hydrating
went to
her?
the pool every day. She was dried, and the
How
entire
did
movie
she
was
eat?
dry.
I don't need to. I don't want to even. We can.
She's just
Yeah.
dry.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was
Yeah, it's
like
Yeah,
It
all
was
the
like-
gross stuff.
it
Yeah.
was like all mixed together, like all the stuff she needed. They just fed it to her through a tube.
Well, like
Right.
I keep getting
Because how
visions
was
of the
she
movie
eating?
Seven, right, where the guy was dehydrated
Yeah.
for a year.
Oh,
Like that's what I
Yeah.
keep thinking she would look like
Honestly,
after the time in there.
if you really break down this movie, it's so many holes. This movie is kind of crazy because
Oh,
I understand that I understand that they said that he left to go make money, to go do these things. But again, this is a corporation that's doing this, just trying to like save the world or whatever, and bring everybody, kidnap everybody into the simulation or whatever against everybody's will. But like, who is coming to my house? Because if I'm in the simulation too, who's coming to check on me, making sure I got some water? Who's coming to make sure that we both eat? Because like, if I die out here, I die in here, so it has to be other people out here that's taking care. It's a mess.
And he has to get the money to keep the simulation going while still hydrating her and taking care of
Without
her.
her doctor's salary, mind you.
And
Just
then my
saying.
question is, he
none of
couldn't
that
find a
stuff's cheap.
job before the simulation. So what was his job beforehand? Just kidnapping people, bringing them into the simulation? What was his gig? How was he paying for this? This is a massive operation. This costs billions, probably.
This
How
is
was he
why
paying
there
for
has
this?
to be a movie about the simulation. Like
We
that
need a
is where the
prequel.
movie
We need a
is.
prequel. How this got started. How
I
did
need a
history get
sequel.
started? Yeah, we gonna write it. Don't worry about it. We got this.
We're gonna.
Gross.
This has
Yeah.
been
Cold
season
words.
2, episode 10 of the Real
We just
Study.
spazzed out at the end.
We really appreciate you sticking around and going well over
Great.
time talking about Don't Worry, Darling with us. We could rag on this movie for a whole episode, I think. That said, we hope you guys have a great night. Don't miss us next week, and we will be having a Christmas episode coming up before Christmas this year. So look forward to that. So
All right.
anyway, have a great night, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have a good
Bye,
weekend.
guys.
And don't worry.
Brian made me chuckle. That was
And don't worry, darling.
Darling.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Where's the
no.
don't worry?
Don't worry, darling. DWD. Drink water. Food.
Darling.
Oh,
Daily
man.
hydration.
Daily?
Drink
It's
water
all
daily.
drink water daily.
I like
I
it.
Yeah.
knew it.
It was a
It's
smart
so
water
bad.
ad the whole time.
All the hydration.